What's up? Ghost Fictions is here, and we're back again. This is a story where Issei lost everything and teleported to One Piece universe. He lost everything, and to top it off, he ended up stranded in another world very different from his own. On a planet where sea predominates over land, in addition to many different races, along with a government system that is very bad in his eyes, now Issei will have to move forward, and he will do so in a way he would never have imagined. Becoming a pirate. This is the story of the greatest hero of his universe sailing the long sea, living new experiences, meeting new people, and, why not, discovering love again. This is the story of the pirate Sekiryuutei. But before we start, please consider subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to check the description for more informations. Also, this is a translate version, you may find some mistakes, specifically in the character's gender. Issei of course is a male, and we gonna see some changes in One Piece genders. Well, with that out, let's get into part 1. West Blue Island Kakeashi. Kakeashi Island, an island in the West Blue that has suffered problems for years, all due to a band of pirates belonging to the Fishman race. This is the Arlong band, which resides in what they called Arlong Park. They charge a monthly fee to keep the inhabitants of this island alive. Said fee was required, and if it was not paid they suffered the consequences. But let's go to one side of the island, this side being a place that Arlong's men do not usually pass through because there was nothing of interest to them. This place was one of the coasts of the island. In this place a beautiful woman with magenta hair and a curvy figure was collecting some fruits because the situation was hard in the town and they barely had enough to survive. Well, I think this is fine, said the woman, wiping the sweat from her forehead. She was about to return home, but something caught her attention. A person. Was his question, and well, it was something strange since that didn't usually happen. There, on the shore of the beach, was a man with damaged red clothes and brown hair. She wasn't one to help anyone, but she went over to see if he was still alive, although she doubted it. She turned to the boy, looking at his face. He's young, she said, surprised. He was a boy of about 19, almost 20 years old. In her eyes he was not so ugly, he was passable, and up close, she could notice his body, which was clearly trained. He had several wounds on his face and body, but he was breathing, which was a good thing. What do I do with you now? He asked himself, not knowing whether to help him or not. I would be very grateful if you helped my partner, said a voice coming from somewhere. This clearly surprised the woman, who looked around cautiously. Who's there? He demanded to know, because the last thing he wanted was trouble with the guys from Arlong Park. I'm on the left arm, girl, said the voice as the woman looked at the boy's left arm. A talking gem? She said, confused, seeing a green gem on the back of the boy's left hand. Ah, I'm not here to explain that now, please girl, help my partner, he needs help, said the voice of the gem, which shone with each word spoken. The boy. Why should I? She asked distrustfully, since a talking gem is not one to be trusted right away. I know you don't trust me, and that's good, but I really need you to help him, even if it doesn't seem like it. My partner is in a bad way, he just lost a lot, said the voice, sounding sad, and the woman sighed. I hope I don't regret this, she said, walking over to pick up the boy, feeling how heavy he was. Wow, he's really heavy, she said at a cost, since the boy was heavy. After much struggle, he managed to pull the boy off the shore and carried him home with difficulty. Thanks girl, when my partner wakes up I will make him pay you back the favor however you want, said the voice as the girl snorted. This will cost them dearly, she said as she walked along a secret path she made through some bushes. After walking so much he came to a small field where there were several tangerine trees, and a little further ahead there was a small house. She continued dragging the boy and the bag with what she collected, entering through the back door of the house. She finally let go of the boy and left the bag on a table in the kitchen of the house. Finally, she said, looking at the still unconscious boy. What is your friend's weight? Is he made of stone or something? She asked into the void. It's hard to say, but my friend is special in a certain way, said the gem's voice. By the way, what are you exactly? I asked, the doubt I had had for a while. Well, my name is Drake Gotch, and I am a dragon. Drake introduced himself, surprising the girl, but she looked at him without believing that. A dragon, really? You don't look like one, she said without believing much. That doesn't matter now, but tell me, what's your name, girl? Asked Drake. She snorted at how he said it. I'm Najiko and I'm not a girl, I'm 21 years old, she said, annoyed. Well, to me you are a girl, although my partner is almost your same age, said Drake as she snorted again to take Issei and drag him to her room, since this house barely had 2 rooms. Whatever, I just hope your friend doesn't cause any trouble when he wakes up. I already have enough with Arlong's men getting paid every month without having to put up with any more problems, said Najiko, taking the boy to her room. Drake didn't say anything. She opened her room, which had little but was necessary. He laid the boy down on his bed and sighed. The good thing is that Nami won't come for 2 weeks. I just hope you wake up soon and go. I don't want to have problems with Arlong and his henchmen," she said, leaving the boy there. He closed the door, leaving the boy alone. "So she's in trouble. Well, I'll tell Issei to help her. Meanwhile, I hope you wake up soon, friend," said Drake, sounding sad at the end. Thus Nijiko found someone who would change her life and who in the future would be known throughout the world. But that will be a story that will gradually become clear. Well, a real heavenly dragon has come to this world. Kakeashi Island, Nami and Nijiko's house. 5 days later, inside the room where Nijiko slept and left the boy she found lying on the shore of the island. He was still unconscious. Sitting in a chair watching him was Nijiko, who sighed and got up to leave the brunette still in his bed. "I hope you wake up soon. The date when Arlong collects his fee is approaching and I barely have enough to pay my bills," said Nijiko, leaving the room. The brown-haired boy was still unconscious, but elsewhere it was not like that. Inside the boosted gear. "How long will you be like this?" asked a red dragon of about 50 meters, looking at a brown-haired boy who was lying on a platform in the white space that is the interior of the boosted gear. Issei Haidu, the young hero and perverted lover of big breasts, is now nothing more than a shadow of what he is now. Lying on his back, looking at that white space that is the inside of the boosted gear, his gaze, previously full of life, was empty. He seemed to have no desire for anything, and that had Drake worried. "You must move on, partner, not all is lost," Drake said to his friend and partner. But Issei didn't say anything. When you lose everything, you tend to think about negative things, but when you lose literally everything, you tend to go into a deep depression. Issei was no exception, because no matter how hero and strong he is still someone young who thought about having a simple life with all his loved ones. Something that was taken away from him in an instant. Friends, family, lovers, everything was destroyed, leaving only him and Drake. Everything happened so fast and recently that if it weren't for Drake, he wouldn't have committed suicide. "Come on, Issei, your parents and your girlfriends wouldn't have wanted to see you like this, so dejected, so depressed, they would want you to live even though everything is over," said Drake. Issei didn't respond, he just laid there without looking at him. Drake sighed and just looked worriedly at his partner. While he understood that it was normal for him to be like that, he didn't want to see him so sad and depressed, because even with everything bad, he misses that perverted brat who is his first and best friend, that boy who looked at him as someone and not as a weapon, who through unorthodox methods, put his name on a high pedestal, who took him to witness impossible battles and events, the best and strongest carrier he's ever had. She wants Haidu Issei with all his perversion back, she doesn't want this one that looks like a lifeless doll. "Issei, I know it's hard, believe me, I've lost important people to me when I was alive, I pushed away friends for a stupid fight that led me to end up trapped in this sacred gear, I've seen how all my carriers succumb to the hunger for power, and I know that everything you lost was not little, I'm with you, but I don't like seeing you like this, friend, you must move on, even if those important people to you are no longer there, you must move on and live, they would have liked that," said Drake, since he wanted his partner to get out of that depression. Issei didn't answer again, he was silent, he didn't feel like doing anything, his lifeless eyes only made his friend sigh, who was sad for him. The dragon just lay down near him, waiting for his friend to return to what he was, that perverted but kind idiot who helped everyone. He knows it will be difficult, but he has not lost hope that it will happen soon. 1 week later. Nijiko was worried, since the date where she had to pay Arlong was approaching, and she doubted she could hide Issei, since now those guys were rigorous and checked the houses regardless of whether the person lived alone or not. "I was sitting at the kitchen table thinking about what to do when someone opened the front door. Nijiko, I'm back, how are you?" a female voice asked, entering the house. "Nami, hello." Nijiko greeted the newcomer. She is a cute young girl with short orange hair, fair skin and dark orange eyes, curvy raven, wearing a white shirt with blue stripes and a yellow skirt with sandals. She is Nami, Nijiko's younger sister, and is currently part of Arlong's group trying to buy the village while saving 100 million berries. Nami looked at her sister thoughtfully, she wasn't usually like that, since she is someone relaxed and in a certain way happy, it seemed strange to her. "Nijiko, what's wrong? Why are you so pensive?" Nami asked with some concern as she sat down on the other chair at the table. "Oh, well, let me tell you what happened a week and a half ago," Nijiko said to begin telling Nami how she found Issei on the shore of the island. Inside the boosted gear. Sitting there on the white floor inside the boosted gear, with a look of deep sadness, was Haidu Issei. A little less than a day ago he recovered a little, mentally he was in bad shape, but the talks Drake gave him about moving on finally took effect. It was hard and difficult, but you must continue living, that's life, sometimes you lose, and sometimes you win, nothing is certain, but you must continue moving forward for those who are no longer here. How do you feel? Drake asked. More or less, although I think I'll need antidepressants, said Issei without much encouragement. You are a dragon, you don't need those human medications, and you won't suffer much from any mental instability due to depression, although the sadness will need time to go away," said Drake. Issei sighed again. Drake was right, although he only hopes to be able to overcome this, although he doubted it. Nijiko and Nami's house. "So, it's him," Nami said, looking at the unconscious Issei. "Yes, he's been like this since I found him, maybe before, and I don't know what to do with him," said Nijiko, because she didn't want to just throw Issei away. She wasn't like that. "Well, get him out of the house," Nami said without showing any reaction on her face. Nijiko looked at Nami and sighed. Her little sister had to change because of working for Arlong. "But we can't, I already told you that dragon asked me that as a favor," said Nijiko. "Dragon, nonsense, you must have hallucinated that or something," Nami said, thinking it was impossible. "But she doesn't lie, girl," said Drake from the gem. "What the hell was that? Is there anyone else here?" Nami asked, alarmed, looking around. "Here on the left hand," said Drake. Nami looked where he said and was surprised to see a shiny gem that wasn't there before. "I am the dragon she spoke to, I am Drake," said Drake. "Nijiko, am I going crazy already?" Nami asked her older sister. "Ah, no, it's real," Nijiko said and then turned her attention to the gem. "Drake-san, when will your friend recover?" she asked. "It will be a little while, it was hard, but I managed to get him out of his depression. In a few days he will be back to reality," said Drake, sounding somewhat happy. "Depression? What are you talking about?" Nami asked, confused. "Well, I can only say that my friend was left in a kind of coma due to an excess of power, and that he locked himself in his mind due to a strong depression that he suffers. It is something serious and well, I am not the one to tell you, but he lost everything, he has nothing left, I am practically the last thing he has and knows," said Drake as the sisters fell silent. They know what it is like to lose something important, but they didn't think that Issei's loss was something serious, although they didn't know how much he lost either, but it seems that it was a lot, and the only thing he has left is Drake. "Well, I hope it's soon, because Arlong will come soon to collect the damn monthly payment he gets for life, and I don't have the money to pay your friend's salary," said Nijiko seriously. "And he doesn't have to pay for it, he's a complete stranger, it's enough for him that she kindly let him stay in my room, what's more, I'll charge him once he wakes up and it won't be cheap," said Nami seriously while crossing her arms. "I understand, don't worry, it won't be long, at most it will be in 2 days, and he will leave, and if possible, he will pay in one way or another," said Drake, understanding that this thing about this Arlong guy is a delicate subject. "You better," said Nami, walking away, leaving Nijiko there. "Ah, sorry if I sounded rude, but we've been through a lot too, well, the whole island has been through a lot, and don't worry about paying anything, just leave when you say goodbye, because it will be dangerous if Arlong sees you here, you'll get us into trouble," said Nijiko, being calmer. Drake didn't say anything for a few seconds. "Well, I understand, but if you need help with something, anything, you can ask my partner, he may not seem like it, but he is someone very powerful, and will not hesitate to help you," said Drake, sounding sure of what he was saying. "Yes, I'll see when I wake up, see you," said Nijiko, leaving the room. Outside he saw Nami peeling a tangerine at the kitchen table. "And how are you doing with the money?" Nijiko asked, taking a seat in front of her sister. "I'm almost ready to fulfill what we agreed to, I'll soon buy the freedom of the entire island," said Nami with a bitter expression. "And do you think Arlong will keep his end of the deal?" Nijiko asked. "He must, after all, he only needs me and the maps I draw," said Nami, looking sad. Nijiko sighed. It's been 9 years since Arlong and his subordinates came to ruin the lives of the entire island. They lost the woman they loved like a mother because of that guy, and now Nami is doing everything she can to gather all the money Arlong told her to buy the freedom of the island. "Anyway, I can't stay long, I have to go out to get more money," Nami said, standing up. Nijiko just looked at her. Nami looked towards her room and then looked at her older sister. "And when that guy wakes up, get him out of the house, I don't want anything to happen to you because of someone you don't know," Nami said seriously. Yes, I know what to do, just calm down," said Nijiko. Nami nodded and left the house, but not before taking several tangerines. Nijiko sighed, looking towards the room where she had Issei. "Hey kid, you need to wake up soon," Nijiko said. 2 days later. Nijiko was drinking coffee, she had already gotten the money for her tribute to Arlong. But she was worried since Issei showed no signs of getting up. But that changed when she heard her sister's bedroom door open. From there came out Issei, who had a serious expression but a look of melancholy. "You're awake, that's good, now it's better for you to go, tomorrow the fishmen are coming to collect the money, and you have nothing to pay for your life," said Nijiko, looking at Issei. Issei sighed. "I will do that, but first, thank you for helping me, I know it must have been annoying to have a complete stranger in your house, so take this as payment for all the trouble," Issei said, summoning the boosted gear to approach the table where Nijiko was sitting. Placing his hand on the table, he created a magic circle with the Gremory symbol, and from there appeared a bag about 30 centimeters tall, filled with gold coins and valuable jewels. Nijiko, who was drinking coffee, dropped the cup in shock. He had never seen anything like this in his entire life, as that bag appeared from that strange glowing circle. Although he took the boosted gear as normal, he did not take magic as normal. Issei ignored that and looked at Nijiko. "Do you know a way I can go?" Issei asked. Nijiko snapped out of her shock and looked at Issei. Yeah, come, I'll take you somewhere where no one can see you," Nijiko said, standing up. Issei followed her silently. They both left her and Nami's house, then walked to the back, where Nijiko guided him down a path she followed to travel to the southern end of the island. After 15 minutes of silence, they reached the shore where they found Issei. "There it is, I don't know how you're going to leave, but that's up to you," said Nijiko. "Don't worry, I have my methods," said Issei to take out his dragon wings, surprising Nijiko even more. "Well, thanks for everything and sorry for the inconvenience. As Drake said, if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to ask for help. I left a paper in the bag from before. With that you can contact me when you really need help," he said, preparing to fly. "Goodbye and thanks again." And so he took flight, leaving a surprised Nijiko. She was stunned, she never expected to see someone fly, and she had seen fishmen. But seeing a guy come back with dragon wings would never have crossed her mind. "He is a strange guy, but oh well, I better go home," said Nijiko, going to her home. Ice. He was flying aimlessly, he just wanted to get lost for a while to see how to cope with everything that had happened to him recently. "What is our next destination, partner?" he asked Drake. "I don't know, Drake, we'll go wherever, I just want to clear my mind and process everything," said Issei. "Well, random location, here we go," said Drake, making Issei smile. So Issei was lost in the sky, without a fixed direction and in a totally unknown world. He will have to live again and perhaps make connections with new people. His story will continue. 1 month later. It's been a month since Issei came to this world. During this time he spent flying from one island to another, not staying static in one place. That month was one of reflection, remembering all his losses and training. In addition, he has learned a few things about this world. First, this world is more water than land, and it also has multiple islands in various parts. There are 4 seas: blue, north, south, east and west, each with its climate and fauna. There is also a large rocky expanse that surrounds the world and is called the Red Line due to its characteristic red color. He learned that at one point on it, there is a group of nobles called Temubitos. Needless to say, Drake's discontent when hearing that name from ordinary humans. There was also what is known as the Grand Line, which was a part of the sea that runs through the first half of the world and has islands, and it is impossible to navigate there if you are a novice and do not have the proper preparation for it. There was also the Shinsekai Aka New World, which comprised the other half of the world and was even more screwed up than the Grand Line. Each one had a part of the sea on both sides called the Calm Belt, which could not be crossed by ocean currents, and without a motor one could not pass. But the problem was that the so-called Sea Kings lived there, being enormous marine creatures that could easily eat huge ships. Along with that, he discovered about the world government, which governed world laws and what could and could not be done, along with the police here, the Navy, a group that is everywhere and is in charge of maintaining order on the islands where there are bases, although they are also there to stop the pirates. Now, what caught his attention the most? The pirates. Issei thought they would be the same as those in his world, like Blackbeard, Mary Read and Anne Bonny, or even similar to those of Pirates of the Caribbean, but nothing to do with it. The pirates, although some were the typical idiots who went around screwing around, others were more relaxed groups who only wanted to go on adventures. There was also the issue of the Pirate King, a guy who was considered to be someone powerful and who left a challenge to all the pirates to find his treasure, the One Piece, and thus become the king of the pirates. Something interesting, along with the so-called Akuma no Mi, which gave whoever ate them a power, but took away their ability to swim in the sea. Issei thought that Azazel would like to know how they work and stuff. I think that Azazel would have created several Akuma no Mi in just a few months. Issei thought to himself, remembering his second father and mentor. Now Issei was again flying aimlessly, he was almost above the clouds, there no one would see him unless they have supervision, because his height is the same as those planes that leave smoke trails. Traveling through the 5 islands of the West Blue, what are you going to do now, partner? Drake asked a brown-haired boy. If I'm honest, I don't know what to do with my life now, said Issei, because in essence he didn't know what to do now. Drake couldn't say anything, because he knew that Issei is still hurt by what happened in his world, besides they are in a world unknown to them, and settling down is difficult. Issei got bored of flying, so he looked for a place to land. Looking closely, he found a somewhat small island that had what looked like a kingdom. Issei ignored the kingdom and arrived at the area where there was a village, so he descended in an area where no one would see him, the mountains, but that would be his first mistake. He descended and hit his wings. He was about to leave when he heard a female voice. Why, you have wings? The girl shouted in wonder. Issei was surprised. He had forgotten to be attentive to anyone, but he forgot about that. He turned around to see the girl who looked at him. Tell me, you can fly, right? You have wings so you can, come on, take me flying. Said the girl very close to Issei, and the brown-haired boy had to back away. He took a good look at the girl. She was shorter than him, 1.75, with short black hair, possibly 17 if he wasn't mistaken, with a well-defined body and somewhat large breasts, black eyes with a scar under her left eye, wearing a red sleeveless shirt and baggy blue shorts with sandals, as well as having a straw hat on her head. She seems to be very happy because of that smile she has, and that sparkle in her eyes. Hey, what's your name? I'm Monkey D. Luna and I'll be the next pirate queen. Well, that'll be when I start my journey in 3 months since that's when I have my birthday shishishi. Said Luna smiling amused. Issei looked at her. She was a very peculiar girl but not unpleasant. I'm Issei, hi to Issei, nice to meet you Luna. Said Issei extending his hand to greet the girl. So your name is Issei, nice to meet you Issei, now tell me, do you also have an Akuma no Mi? She asked while shaking Issei's hand. No, I didn't eat any Akuma no Mi. Said Issei, but he thought it was probably because of his wings. Oh, so how do you have wings? That's mysterious. Luna said crossing her arms and tilting her head. Well, what does it matter, tell me, do you want to be part of my crew when I start my journey? She asked making Issei sweat a drop at how he ignored the issue of the wings. Issei didn't know what to say because honestly he had no plans to join any side or anything like that. Or at least not now that he felt empty inside, because no matter how good it looks on the outside, only Drake and he know how he feels. I'll think about it. He said, because he saw in Luna a girl who wouldn't give up. Shishishi, that's good, anyway, I'm hungry, see you. Said Luna starting to go to the town. Wait, I'm hungry too, do you know of any place where I can eat? Issei asked. Sure, come with me, Makino makes very good food. Luna said smiling and Issei just followed her. Luna was singing a song while Issei just looked at the place. It seemed like a very quiet town, with several people greeting Luna and looking at Issei in confusion. After a while they arrived at a kind of tavern near the village bay. Luna came in smiling. Makino, food. Luna shouted, drawing the attention of the few people in the place. Oh, Luna, here I have your food. Said Makino, a beautiful woman with long dark green hair. Oh, I see you have a companion. She said looking at Issei. He's coming to eat too, he'll be a member of my crew when we set sail. Said Luna smiling and taking a seat at the bar. Issei looked at her but didn't say anything, he let her be. Oh, I see. Makino said to see Issei confused since she doesn't recognize him from anywhere. I'm not from the island, I come from another place, my name is Issei. Said Issei recognizing the woman's doubtful look. I understand, nice to meet you Issei-kun. Said Makino smiling kindly. Issei sat next to Luna at the bar, the girl seeming a little too excited. I want meat. Luna said excitedly. Okay, and you Issei-kun? Makino asked with a smile. Some meat wouldn't be bad. Said Issei and she nodded. Makino went to the back to prepare the food, as this place also served food to those who came. At this time there were few people coming, and it was easy for Makino to serve lunches. And where are you from Issei? Asked Luna. I'm from Lowtown. He lied, but he did know the famous island, because according to a book he read, that was where the former pirate king Gold Roger was executed. Really? Wow. Luna said very surprised by that, so much so that she got very close to Issei's face who became a little uncomfortable. Tell me, have you seen Gold Roger's execution platform? She asked anxiously, because for her, that place was legendary. Hey yeah, I mean, it's in the middle of the city, and it's too high to miss. Said Issei, although he was lying since he has never set foot in Lowtown in the time he has been in this world. Wow, it must be exciting to see that place where the previous pirate king was executed. Luna said smiling. It's obvious that you're a big fan of the pirate king. Said Issei looking at her as she smiled wider, if that was physically possible. Of course, I'll set sail when I turn 17 and become the next pirate queen and find the One Piece. Luna said with such confidence that it surprised Issei. Wow, you do have a fixed goal, that's good. Issei said with a small smile. Since unlike her, he doesn't have goals or plans for the future, he simply doesn't know which direction to take now. Shortly after, Makino arrived with the food and Luna immediately turned her attention to her food, making Issei laugh a little. Issei took his plate and thanked the woman who just smiled. Issei ate in silence, enjoying every bite of food. Makino was serving the few customers in the bar while Luna was choking on food. After a while they finished eating and it was comical for Issei to literally see how Luna looked bloated. Ha, what good food. Said Luna smiling satisfied. Hey, is it normal for that to happen to you? Issei asked, pointing at Luna's stomach that looked pregnant. Oh, this? Yes, it's because I'm a rubber woman, said Luna, stretching her cheek in an abnormal way. Issei was surprised by that. Wow, that must be from the Akuma no Mi we read about, what peculiar powers they give to those who consume them, said Drake after seeing what his partner looked at. Issei just accepted that and well, he paid for his share of the meal, while Luna left with him. So Issei, are you going to be part of the crew? Luna asked, forgetting that Issei said he would think about it. I already told you, I'll think about it, said the brown-haired boy, since at the moment he wanted to wander alone, since he still has a lot of things to think about yet. Oh, come on, it'll be fun, we'll sail all over the East Blue, and then go to the Grand Line, and then go to Shinsekai, Luna said, making a puppy face since Issei was immune to that. Ha, for the moment I'm not thinking about sailing the sea and all that, but I already told you, I'll think about it later, said Issei as Luna pouted. You'll see that you'll end up being part of my crew, said Luna, pointing at the brown-haired boy who sighed again. How persistent this girl is, said Drake. They walked for a while until they reached the entrance of the forest when Issei stopped, confusing Luna. What's wrong, Issei? Aren't you coming with me? She asked, confused. No, I have to go, Issei said without much, turning around, but a hand stopped him, resting on his shoulder. It was Luna who stretched out her right hand. Are you leaving? Come on, don't do it, stay, said Luna, not wanting a potential member of her crew to leave. I'm sorry, but I don't think I'll change my mind, but we'll see if we see each other later. I don't know, let's see if I've already thought about joining your crew, said Issei, as she smiled upon hearing that. Well, remember what you said, because in the end you will become part of my crew, and together we will find the One Piece, Luna would shout. Very happily. I think he may have taken that as an affirmation, Drake said. I see that, he thought to Issei with a poker face. Well, we'll see each other someday, goodbye. And so Issei walked away in another direction, because if he didn't want to be seen, he would have to find at least a boat to go unnoticed. See you later, Luna said goodbye, smiling happily. Issei left, and making sure that there was no one around, he took flight, but this time going above the clouds, again at barely perceptible heights. Where will we go now? Asked Drake. Well, Grand Line sounds like an interesting place to visit, Issei said as he flew at a moderate speed towards the Grand Line. Grand Line. Little Garden. A week has passed since Issei met Luna. In that short time he decided to start rigorous training, all while traveling through some places in the Grand Line. Now Issei was in Little Garden, an interesting prehistoric island where he met two nice guys. Gaga gaga gaga. Bababa baba. Were the laughs of two giants in Viking armor. They were huge, just over 20 meters. Both giants were sitting in front of a large bonfire, and sitting in front of them was Issei, who was laughing along with them. Seriously, for a little boy you have some amazing stories, said the first giant with a long beard. Dory. Killing a sea king and eating it is something very few would do, said the other, who was more robust. Broji. Well, it was that or let it eat me, and I'm not on either of those animals' menu, Issei said, smiling. He came across this island as soon as he arrived at the Grand Line, and he was surprised not only by the size of the trees, but also by the fact that there were dinosaurs on it, and that Dory and Broji were also there, and that he found them fighting. I listened to the story of both of them, given that they come from the land of giants of Elbaf, and that they were part of a crew, but stayed to measure their strength. That was many years ago. Although for them it felt like a short time. But you've traveled a lot for a child, said Broji. I've traveled further, by the way, I didn't know dinosaur meat was this good, commented Issei, eating a huge piece of Tyrannosaurus meat. Gaga gaga, it's the best there is, although nothing beats the meat we have in Elbaf, said Broji. And the mead, don't forget that, said Dory. True, I will never forget that, said Broji. Issei smiled, they seemed like great friends, ignoring their size of course. And what will you do now, little one? Asked Broji. Well, I'm still curious to know what else is in the Grand Line, so I'll travel around there before seeing what to do, said Issei. Oh, you're looking for a very deep reason for someone so young, said Dory. Well, I have to, since I left my home, I don't know what to do with my life from now on, Issei said, smiling sadly. The two giants saw that smile that conveyed sadness. They didn't say anything about it. Well, rest assured that you will find what you want to do, because even though life is short, you will find what you want to be or do, said Broji. True, so just go ahead, enjoy your life and take everything that is thrown at you, facing every obstacle that comes your way, Dory said, smiling. Issei smiled, the two of them were wise. At that the ground on the entire island trembled, the volcano in the center began to expel lava. The two giants smiled as they looked at each other. Well, little one, stay and see how he beats this fool, said Dory. Gagaga, not if I beat you first, Broji said, smiling defiantly. The two took distance and then launched themselves at each other. Issei watched the fight, which was impressive. The two of them showed great experience using weapons, attacking and blocking each other's attacks masterfully, and after a while, they threw away their weapons and went into fists, so that in the end they both gave each other a tremendous punch on their chins, falling to the ground. Although it was more epic to see the giants fight against Or, you should have seen that fat guy screwed them up. Said Drake, remembering the past. This battle wasn't bad though. Issei said to his friend. After being on the ground for a while, the two giants stood up, causing a small jolt. Another tie. Dory said. Yes. Said Brogy. At that the two of them burst out laughing. Issei smiled as he saw them, the rivalry, but also the friendship between them was evident. Well guys, it was nice to meet ya, said Issei inside a boat that he bought so as not to fly around and raise suspicions. Likewise, little one, I hope your trip goes well. Said Dory. Yes, but be careful, as the waters of Grand Line can be treacherous. Said Brogy. I know, so don't worry. Said Issei, raising the mainsail to begin sailing through the channel in the middle of the island. Brogy and Dory watched him go, but when they saw that he was almost at the end they remembered something. The giant fish. Said Dory. In the waters a huge colorful fish emerged, opening its jaws. Issei became serious when he saw it. This guy wants to eat me. Bad choice. Said Issei, summoning the boosted gear gauntlet. I load several boosts and dragon shot. He released a powerful torrent of reddish energy that hit the fish. The fish was easily destroyed, its pieces flying in various directions, one even landing on the deck of the boat. Well, at least I have food. He said, looking at the piece of fish. Dory and Brogy were surprised, they didn't think Issei could make an attack of such magnitude. Boy, the little guy sure had an ace up his sleeve. Dory said. And a very powerful one. Said Brogy. Then the two laughed, watching as Issei disappeared into the horizon. Issei used some wyverns to use as an engine, because he didn't want to go slow due to the movement of the wind. What is our next destination, partner? Asked Drake. Well, it's uncertain for the moment. Issei said, sitting on a chair while enjoying the view of the great sea that surrounded him. Evening. It was night, the moon was at its peak, the sea was calm for the moment. Issei was asleep in the bed he had on his boat. But he didn't seem to be having a good time, as he moved around and his face grimaced. Dream. Issei found himself in a huge wasteland where there was only destruction. Fire and corpses along with destroyed buildings surrounded him. He was badly injured, bleeding and looking at everything with anger, pain and sadness. Corpses that were very recognizable to him, while in his arms lay the corpse of the girl he loves. Crying, she looked up at the night sky, seeing the broken moon now floating in space. In addition to that, several robotic beings floated in the air. He looked at them with hatred and murderous desire. Outer gods. Issei screamed in fury. He looked at one in particular, one who smiled victoriously at the scene he was witnessing. Issei only hugged with pain and great regret the corpse of his beloved crimson-haired lady. While regretting being weak. End of the dream. No. Issei shouted, suddenly standing up. He was sweating, breathing heavily, his body trembling, he was scared. Mate, calm down, it was just a nightmare. Said Drake, calming Issei. The brown-haired boy sat on the edge of the bed, while with one hand he held his forehead and sweat fell to the floor. He sighed and decided to go to the small kitchen on the ship. He turned on the stove and put the water on to boil, sat down on a bench and waited for the kettle to whistle. Are you calm now? Drake asked his friend. Something. Issei replied. Drake sighed, he understood that it was difficult for him to forget that event that took away everything he loved and knew. A few minutes later the kettle whistled, so after making a good amount of tea, she grabbed what she did plus an empty glass and went out on deck to calm down. Issei looked at the ocean at night, everything was calm, the relaxing sound of the waves and the moon illuminating. Issei drank the tea and just sat there doing nothing until dawn. Drake just hoped that his partner would overcome that pain and move on, because that is the only thing left for him, to move on and continue with his immortal life. It seems like a joke, but Issei is literally now immortal. 2 days later. Issei has already sailed for 2 days, although he was obviously disoriented since he didn't have any radar or anything like that, so he hasn't found any island to rest and sightsee. Could it be that I'm lost already? Issei would say. You should have gotten one of those log poses so you wouldn't get lost. Drake told him with some annoyance. Just a few minutes later something happened that first confused him and then surprised him. What the hell? Looking above him, a huge ship was falling from the sky in pieces. So using his wyverns, he quickly got his ship out of there. And the great ship fell, raising a great wave. But how the hell can a ship that big fall from the sky? Said Issei, totally confused. He watched the ship sink slowly until minutes later it was no longer on the surface. Issei looked at the sky and only saw several clouds, nothing out of the ordinary. He scratched his head in confusion, this place was really confusing, but he put that aside and went to see if he could find an island. I sail and sail, bored, no, fed up with not coming across a fucking island. I should have listened to Drake and bought that compass. Although after half a day of traveling at high speed, he managed to see an island in the distance. Well, until I finally found an island, that was harder than I thought, said Issei. Little by little he approached the island, seeing that there were several boats near the dock, although of course, they all had a Holly Roger, and that only meant one thing. Pirates. He said, he just hoped he wouldn't get into trouble because there were probably a lot of them almost dead. He docked in an empty space, dropped anchor and tied up the boat just in case, and looked at the place. It was picturesque. I walked through the streets of the place, watching its inhabitants go about their routines. Issei looked for a place to eat because he wanted to visit this island a bit. After a while he arrived at a small restaurant where he ate fried chicken with mashed potatoes, rice and lemon juice. Although he obviously asked for more, spending like 15,000 berries on food alone. After that he went out to walk around the small town, seeing that everything was normal. Well, almost everything. He saw a group of what he could recognize as pirates. People stepped aside in fear. The group was led by a blonde guy with a smile that was even more arrogant than Razor's in his early days. Issei just ignored them, he didn't want trouble since he was just passing by. I stepped to the side away from the group of pirates. The last thing I wanted to do was dispatch these idiots who looked like they were going to be more than a handful. After walking for a while, Issei left the city and passed through the forest surrounding it. Everything was quiet, the birds were singing, the flowers were blooming, and there were no children who should die. Yes, everything was fine. Although if there was something still on his mind, it was. I still wonder how the hell I almost got crushed by a ship, he said, remembering what happened to him before arriving on the island. In the end he decided to return to the city, buy supplies and go on with his business, because there are still things he wants to see and do on this side of the sea. It was 2 hours and already entering the night, Issei was on his ship, ready to set sail. Well, with this we can get to the next island, said Issei seeing what he bought, a log pose. With that, he set sail for the next island, as there is still much he wants to see, as he tries to overcome the great loss that weighs on his heart. 2.5 months later. East Blue. 2.5 months have passed, Issei sailed along the Grand Line, although he didn't go to many places. He arrived at Water 7 where he met an interesting guy. He was half robot, a cyborg bueno in Carpinteria who improved his ship at a reasonable price. His name was Frankie, and he was cool despite looking like a thug with his group. Then he ended up in Shabadi where he spent some time exploring the mangroves, although he had problems and avoided the Tenyubitos, despite seeing how they treated people, although of course, using the armor he hit several brutally, being that caused him to now have a poster where the balance breaker appears well drawn with a reward of like 100 million berries for hitting Tenyubitos. That put a big smile on his face, because he came to hate the Tenyubitos a lot. Now he was returning to East Blue, there was no specific reason, but he wanted to explore the place since as soon as he woke up in Najiko's house, he went to the Grand Line to explore. I heard there was a restaurant that sold really good food, and I was curious. Although he first stopped on an island to collect some fruit. Well, I think this will be more than enough, Issei said finishing taking down a mango from a tree. He had a small bag with several different kinds of fruit, he didn't want to leave the trees bare, so he went for the most sensible thing and looked for everything, from fruits to wild berries. After that, he decided to leave, since he still had a few days to go before he ran into that Barati. But then something happened, he saw that at the bow of his ship, there was someone, a beautiful woman with black hair and a big hat, easily holding a huge iron mace. Issei sighed, this kind of thing has happened to him before, as there are fools who want to steal his ship. He calmly approached his boat, being noticed by the woman. Tell me, miss, what are you doing on my ship? Issei asked politely, he wasn't a brute at first. Oh, so you are the owner of this ship, it is a good ship, she said looking at the ship enchanted. Issei sighed, ignoring her question. Tell me, boy, where are you going? She asked. You haven't answered my question, Issei said. Oh, right, well, you see, a few weeks ago I had a confrontation with a girl, and well in the end that brat ended up sending me flying. I ended up here and well, I was looking for a way to leave this island, and your boat seemed like a very good option, she said calmly. Aha, and that means what? Said Issei hoping not to hit her, since he doesn't like to hit women, even though he has had female enemies. It would be a nice gesture on your part to get me out of here, after all, I wouldn't want to hurt a cute boy, she said smiling flirtatiously at Issei. Issei looked at her with a bored face. This woman was beautiful, yes, but in his eyes, it was normal, because he has seen beauty and she would not even surpass Ria's. Ha, whatever, I don't want any trouble, I've had too much trouble in the Grand Line to end up fighting when I just got back to the East Blue, said Issei getting on his ship, ignoring the woman's face of extreme surprise. Wait, you were in Grand Line? The black-haired girl asked surprised. Yes, I was there for almost 3 months. Issei said, going to the remodeled kitchen thanks to Frankie. It had a refrigerator and several other cool things. The woman followed Issei. So you're a pirate? The woman asked. No, I'm just a traveler. Issei said calmly. But since you survived that place, not everyone is supposed to be able to navigate there just like that, said the woman, still in amazement. Well, I'm strong, said Issei, finishing putting everything in its place. Anyway, are you hungry? I'm going to cook something, he said, since he didn't mind cooking for one more person. The woman looked at him strangely. In her eyes he looked like an ordinary boy, nothing out of the ordinary. She even doubted that he had returned from the Grand Line. At that his stomach growled loudly. She may have changed, but her eating habits were still the same. I'll take that as a yes, go and sit while I prepare the food, said Issei, looking for a frying pan to put on the stove. Then he looked for more utensils and the ingredients, because from that grunt, he could deduce that she was one of those who ate a lot. The woman felt a little ashamed of her stomach, but just sat down. By the way, my name is Issei, said the brunette without turning to look at her. I am Alvida, a pirate, said Alvida, hoping that he would recognize her, for she was certainly famous in these seas. Nice to meet you, Alvida, said Issei, obviously not knowing anything about her, as she had not been very interested in investigating pirates, since she only sank them if they were idiots. If not, she just ignored them. She was surprised but let it go. After a while, Issei finished cooking. He put everything he cooked on the table, putting a plate at the end and also cutlery. Alvida was surprised by the large amount of food Issei prepared. It smelled so good. Well, help yourself as much as you like, said Issei, taking a seat. I did akimasu. And then began to eat. Alvida took her food, and after the first spoonful, she opened her eyes. It was the most delicious thing she had eaten in several days, and so she began to eat. Issei saw her. She reminded him of Goku when he ate, but it didn't affect him at all, and he continued with his thing. After 20 minutes they finished, leaving the plates and everything else empty. I must say that this was the best meal I've had lately, Alvida said, satisfied with her meal. I'm glad to hear that. Now help me wash the dishes, said Issei as she looked at him. Huh? Excuse me? Alvida asked. I'm sorry, now help me wash the dishes, said Issei when she got upset. Why should I? Said Alvida. Because I fed you and nothing is free. Do you know how much it costs to get the money for food? So either you help me wash the dishes or I'll take your dough and leave you stranded on this island, said Issei calmly, which upset Alvida. Don't think too much of yourself, okay? If I want, I'll steal this ship from you and leave you crying. You should be grateful that a beauty of my caliber is here with you, Alvida said as Issei sighed. Don't feel special, there are many beautiful women. I've seen women who by your side would make you look like an ugly girl, so you already know what your two options are, Issei said calmly, because getting angry wouldn't get him anywhere. Alvida was very upset, much more beautiful than her. Impossible. She is the most beautiful in West Blue, no one could be more beautiful than her. You've had enough of me, Alvida said, taking her iron mace to attack Issei. Issei did nothing, nor did he move, receiving the powerful blow that resounded. Pam. But Alvida was very surprised, because what happened next would be impossible for her. Crack trash. His club cracked and then fell to pieces. Issei looked at her over his shoulders. She recoiled at that look. So you bite the hand that feeds you, huh? Give me a reason not to beat you up and leave you lying here on the island naked, Issei said seriously. Alvida swallowed hard. She felt a strong pressure that made her look small in front of Issei. She felt afraid. Forgive me. I'll help you. And no, I'll clean up the dirty deals, said Alvida, because that look that Issei gave her made her understand that he wasn't joking. Well, you see how it wasn't difficult to do what I asked you to do. Now leave the dishes clean and put them away. I'll go steer the ship, said Issei, calmly leaving the kitchen and went to the control room where the rudder and the new engine mechanisms that Frankie put on his ship were. Alvida watched him leave and fell to her knees on the ground, sweat covering her forehead. No, her body. She was shaking and wanted to cry. But she felt something else. Her heart was beating strongly, while a blush flooded her cheeks. Wow, what a man, said Alvida. Apparently controlling and rude women always hide a masochistic side. Issei started the engine. He had plenty of gasoline since he ran on soda, and for that he got about 20 barrels that he had in the bottom of his ship. I think Frankie and the Grigori people along with Ajuka could have become great friends, said Issei with a small nostalgic smile as he remembered his acquaintances. He put that aside and started the engine. His next destination would be the Baradi, wherever that place is. Issei sat on a bench that was there and drove for a while, because thanks to the engine everything was faster. Alvida had already finished and went to look for Issei, because she wanted to talk to him about where she could clean herself, since she already wanted a shower. She arrived at the command room where she saw Issei driving the ship. He looked at her. Are you done yet? Issei asked. Yes. Alvida said, somewhat embarrassed. Well, the bathroom is at the door before getting here, there you can clean yourself up. About clothes, I'll give you some of mine, since I don't have any women's clothes, and you only have that. If we get to an island we'll go buy you clothes. Issei said calmly. Oh, well, thanks. She said as she headed to the bathroom. Issei was left alone again. Aren't you being very nice to her? Drake asked. Well, you're right, but being alone on this ship, I kind of feel nice having someone here besides you. Issei said. It won't be for anything else, right? Drake asked just to annoy. No, I'm not up for that stuff right now, said Issei. Drake didn't say anything, as he touched on a sensitive subject for Issei. The rest of the time was silent. One day later. Alvida was wearing a black t-shirt with long white wool pants and white shoes. Men's clothing, although the t-shirt was a little over her belly given her height and the shorts were around her ankles. Issei didn't see her well, but she was taller than him, although Milton was bigger than her. And nice. Well, I don't know where we're going to end up since I don't have a map of the East Blue, and I'm also a novice when it comes to navigation, so if we get to an island where there's a city, we'll go down there and buy your clothes, said Issei, steering his boat aimlessly. Alvida was shocked. She doesn't know anything about sailing. How did she survive on the Grand Line when the waters there were treacherous and unpredictable? I know you're wondering how he could be in the Grand Line, and I can tell you it was a lot of luck because when he was there he was too lost, said Issei as she opened her eyes wide. Did you really cross one of the two most treacherous seas without knowing anything about navigation? Alvida asked. If you say it like that it seems like a joke, but it's the simple truth, it was crazy and risky, but it was that or getting bored, commented Issei when using his enhanced vision he looked at something in the distance. Oh, there's solid land in front and luckily it's an island with a city, he commented. Alvida looked and barely managed to see a black dot in the distance. How did she see that from there? Well, we'll stop by to buy you some clothes, then I'll go to Bereti, said Issei. Alvida didn't say anything, she just limited herself to looking at Issei because for her, he was a rather peculiar person. And so the former pirate captain and the demon dragon sailed towards that island. One day later. Issei was sailing his ship when he saw Alvida sitting with him in the cabin. I still don't understand why you came with me, I mean, you could have looked into reforming your group. Issei commented, looking at the woman. I could, but I didn't want to, I think it would be more interesting and intelligent to be with you. Alvida commented. Because she thought that Issei could attract interesting things to him, besides that he was strong and tough, and she liked that. Issei sighed and continued with his thing. On the previous island he bought a map of West Blue, indicating where the most important places were. Well, now we know where to go, said Issei after getting his bearings. They were heading straight to the Bereti. Alvida saw Issei, she still doesn't understand how he survived the Grand Line being bad at finding his way. And nice. Issei's ship continued on its course towards the Bereti, while Issei went to train for a while as he has been doing since he came to this world. Interested, Alvida went to see Issei's training. Issei sat on the bow, which had been lengthened and had space. He sat in a lotus position and began to meditate. Alvida found that strange, because for her, pirate men trained physically. But he was surprised to see how a strange whitish aura began to surround Issei. First it was a thin layer, then it began to grow, emulating fire. The whitish aura, which was Tauki, covered Issei, being that it covered him like a layer of fire, since it emulated the flames of it. Issei managed to unlock this a month and a half ago. At first he was tired, but as the days passed he adapted better. He was not a professional like Sekiryuutei or Kuroka, but the Tauki has helped strengthen his muscles and body to a better version, being stronger, more resistant and faster. Meditation has helped with that, because according to what Sung Wukong told him when he trained with him for a while, to use Tauki people train body and mind, because that helped them to better understand the vital energy of being themselves. Since Kuroka stated that, and so did Sekiryuutei. Issei opened his eyes. This time he felt that the Tauki had grown more. If he had to put it from 1 to 100, he would say it was at a 5, it was little, but it was enough. He stood up and started doing basic physical training. All of them were pushed to the limit and were more than normal. The only thing he couldn't do was run through space, so he did twice as many workouts. She forgets who witnessed that. She was surprised, because Issei performed 1000 squats, push-ups and sit-ups in record time, and continued until she saw him fall exhausted, and that was 2 hours later. Well, this was good, said Issei, tired but without pain in his muscles. You just need to learn the spell to increase or decrease mass, and with that you will be able to make special weights, said Drake. True, you know magic, but I was the one-handed one because I had low reserves. Well, we'll see that later. Issei told him, because Drake being old knew many magics, that in one of his previous bearers was a magician who studied under Merlin Ambrosius. Issei stood up, forgetting about Alvida. He took off his shirt that was full of sweat, letting Alvida open her eyes at the sight of his body. It wasn't something exaggerated, but he wasn't thin either, it was an almost perfect balance. And she has seen men who looked like masses of muscle. But Issei was different, he had a well-worked body, and those scars gave him something extra that he loved, although of course, he wouldn't say it. Right, you're here, sorry about this, well, I'll go take a shower. Issei said, apologizing and passing by the tall woman. Alvida followed Issei with her gaze, watching as he went and entered the bathroom. I must say, you have a very nice body, she said. Then the day passed quietly for Issei, who started reading books with some magic glasses that Sona had given him and that he kept in the boosted gear a long time ago. Meanwhile, Alvida was thinking about things, looking at Issei sometimes, and returning to what she saw when he finished training. The next day. Night gave way to day, and it was early morning when Issei was once again training. I made the best noise possible because I noticed that Alvida didn't wake up until 6 in the morning, and I respected that. Well, since she's asleep. He whispered to leave a magic circle stuck to the ship and then take out his wings to fly away to the west. What would I do? I would train properly, except I would measure my time so as not to go too far, so I would return 10 minutes early. He arrived at an uninhabited island where he could be seen training with the things he found there. He circled the island that was as big as Kuo 5 times, lifted huge stones by sheer force, and started to climb up and down a mountain on the island to better train his muscles, and also did basic physical training. He stayed like this for an hour and a half, and thanks to a clock he found out what time it was, so he created a magic circle and returned to the boat. As soon as he arrived, Alvida came out of her room freshly woken up, wearing a large transparent nightgown that revealed that she was wearing a sexy underwear. Looking at her closely, she does have a very sexy body, and look at those breasts, they are huge, at least F-cup. Thought Issei without stopping looking at Alvida. The woman, after yawning, noticed that Issei was looking at her, and rather than getting angry, it made her smile. Wow, tell me, do you see anything you like? Alvida asked, moving her hands over her statuesque figure. That brought the brunette out of his stupor, and he had the dignity to blush. Cough cough, good morning and sorry, I'll go prepare breakfast, said Issei, walking quickly to pass next to a smiling Alvida. How cute when he blushes, she said, smiling, and Issei heard that, who blushed even more while Drake laughed. Hours passed and Issei used a telescope. Well, there's the Baradi, Issei said, smiling. The Baradi was a few nautical miles away, if they continued as they were going they would arrive in half an hour. I've never been there, they say it's a great restaurant, Alvida commented, sitting in a chair. Yes, I heard that too, it's the most famous restaurant in East Blue, said Issei. I'm sorry I didn't go before, but first you had to get to know the place and then enjoy it. So the trip continued. It was a quiet half hour, with Issei finishing reading another book and Alvida enjoying the sun. Up close, they were able to appreciate the most famous restaurant boat in the East Blue, although also the only one. It sure gets visited, said Issei, seeing several ships stranded near the restaurant, the largest being one from the Navy. Well, let's go, he said to Alvida, who smiled. So Issei stopped the ship, and thanks to a strange mechanic that Frankie put on it, now the ship wouldn't move without an anchor. Seriously, that cyborg was a damn genius. They then went down and walked to the entrance of the restaurant, although Issei could see a very interesting ship docked. What a beautiful ship, said Issei, as Alvida saw him, but didn't say anything. Then they entered the Baradi, looking at the inside of the place. He saw that the place was nice and had a good atmosphere. There were already several customers being served and several tables occupied. When he was about to look for someone to show him how the place worked, someone stopped in front of him with a huge smile. Hello dear customer, tell me, would you like a table for you and her? Asked a beautiful blonde woman with peculiar spiral eyebrows, her tone being syrupy when she addressed him and then becoming somewhat disdainful when she saw Alvida, which annoyed the former captain. Well, thank you miss, said Issei when the woman paid all her attention to him and smiling said. Sandy is my name, dear. The one now known as Sandy introduced herself with a dazzling smile at Issei. Well Sandy-san, I would like a table for the two of us, said Issei. Of course I know, follow me right away, handsome, I'll take you to the best table we have, Sandy said very helpfully to Issei. Why does this girl's attitude bother me? Thought Alvida, following the duo. Unbeknownst to Issei, Luna was standing next to a green-haired girl, wearing a white shirt and black pants, a boy with curly black hair, a long nose and wearing brown overalls, and Nami. They were eating quietly, or well, the others, since Luna was devouring the food brutally. The thing is, Sandy guided them to an empty table. Okay, here it is, sit down and think about what to order, and when you have your order I will come and bring it especially for you, said Sandy, smiling. Thank you, you are very kind, Issei said, smiling. Come on, you're going to make me blush, this is part of my job, said Sandy, smiling, blushing. Well handsome, you call me and I'll come to take your order. She said to walk away, but not before looking bored at Alvida and leaving. Honestly, I really dislike him, said Alvida. Issei didn't say anything. Issei was a gentleman and helped him sit down. Oh, thank you. She thanked him, surprised by the gesture. You're welcome. Now, let's look at the menu and see what's there, said Issei, taking the menu. The two looked at the different types of food they offered, with Issei being curious about several dishes. So handsome, do you know what to order? The blonde asked with a smile. Yes, I'm going to order these, Issei said, pointing out about 15 dishes in their largest size. The blonde was surprised because seeing Issei and his body, he had a thin but muscular physique. And I have this here, said Alvida, earning a bored look from the blonde who wrote in her notebook. This clearly annoyed the brunette. Well, I'll bring your order right away, dear, but you should know that it will take a while because it is so big. I hope that doesn't bother you, said the blonde, sounding sad. No, not at all, we will wait patiently for our food, Issei said calmly and with a smile. Okay, then wait here while I bring you your food, she said, smiling, and then saw the brunette bored. And yours, she said, not so excited. Grrrr, you're going too far, Alvida said, annoyed, but only received a hum from the blonde, who left with a slight sway of her hips that attracted Issei. Stop looking at this bitch's ass, she growled, annoyed by that. Sorry, Issei apologized because he had been trying to quit that habit, but it was impossible. He also did it with Alvida sometimes. Huff. She just looked at him but put that aside to focus on something else. Everything was going relatively normally, but then, pom. A loud bang was heard along with a lot of noise. Issei looked up and saw something interesting. It was a subject that he deduced was some employee of the place who was beating up a subject, while several cheered that. Apparently it was a pirate who had escaped from the Navy ship. Oh, so they had a prisoner, thought Issei, until he saw Sandy come closer to see what was happening. The subject then threw the pirate out and returned to happily tell the customers that they could continue eating. Issei just watched as the blonde walked out a door holding a plate of freshly served food, deducing that she would possibly give something to the pirate since he looked hungry while he was being beaten. What a place, even its employees are strong, said Alvida. Yes, it's very noticeable, said Issei, knowing that the guy with exaggerated arms was strong. At that, Issei saw someone also come out after Sandy, someone he recognized by a distinctive corduroy hat. Moon, Issei thought, surprised. Does that mean he's already started his journey? Well, whether he started his journey or not, Issei would find himself involved in something interesting within a few hours. Moments later. Here's your food, dear, I hope you enjoy it, said Sandy, smiling at the brunette, who honestly found it strange to be treated like that by a woman, but let it pass. She then saw Alvida with a bored face. And here's yours. And put some plates of food that she had on the cart where she had Issei's dresser. Alvida was upset by that. Well, if you need anything else just call, okay? I'll come right away to help you, said Sandy, smiling at the brunette, who nodded with a smile of his own. Of course, I thank you for the good service, Issei said, smiling. That made the blonde smile even more. Haha, don't worry, dear, I'm here to serve you, haha, she said, laughing foolishly. Then she went to continue with her work. That chick really annoys me too much, Alvida commented with clear annoyance. Okay, calm down, just ignore that, okay? Said Issei, as it was obvious the gulp the blonde was giving him and Alvida. But well, let's enjoy this food that looks delicious, said the brown-haired boy. Alvida was able to agree there because she had managed to hear about Barati's food but never came to eat. I did Akamasu, they both said as they started eating. They had to admit that the food here was splendid, reminding Issei of the food prepared by the Gremory chefs, a top-class meal. Just remembering that made Issei nostalgic because the last dinner he had with his in-laws was the day after his victory in the Azazel Cup. Everyone was there. His father, along with Zudicus and Serzich's, got drunk on so much liquor, while his mother, Venelana, and Grafia, who was Serzich's wife and not a servant, scolded their husbands for that. Are you okay? Alvida's question brought Issei out of his memories. Huh? He was confused by the question. You're crying, she said. Issei touched his face. It was true, he was crying. He smiled and wiped himself with a napkin. Haha, sorry, I just got lost in my memories, that's all, said Issei as she looked at him in silence. Then they continued eating. Everything returned to relative normality until something happened again. Crash. The sound of a table breaking was heard, and Issei and Alvida saw where that sound came from, and the brown-haired boy was surprised by two things. First, he saw Sandy lying on the ground upset, looking at an old man with a wooden leg who from a distance looked like the owner of the restaurant boat. Second, he saw Luna with a group, recognizing the orange-haired girl, because according to Drake, she was Najiko's sister who wanted him out of her house, and that he would pay to be in her room. I only hear a commotion to see how Sandy started arguing with the green-haired woman from Luna's group, scolding Nami and treating the big-nosed boy a bit kindly, and then dragging Luna away, who seems to be working there. As they say, the world is small. Thought Issei while sipping his wine. After a while Issei finished eating. I told you that I don't understand where you keep that food you eat, but now I know where you spend all that energy. Said Alvida, remembering having seen Issei train. What can I tell you? Training requires a large consumption of calories to strengthen the muscles. Said Issei and sighed. Well, it would be better if. He was about to tell them to leave when something happened. Issei. It was Luna who had been sent to mop the floor, but when she saw Issei she jumped on him. The brown-haired boy was quick and stood up, grabbing the girl in a bridal fashion. Hello Luna. Issei greeted. I'm glad you're here. Now keep your promise and become a member of my crew. Shouted Luna, drawing everyone's attention. Hey, straw girl, leave the gentleman alone. Shouted Sandy angrily, approaching. No, I won't leave him until he agrees to be part of my crew. Luna said, hugging Issei by the neck, pressing her cheek against his. Doesn't she know personal space? Thought Issei, feeling one of the girl's breasts pressed against his. Of course that bothered the blonde. But someone else got upset and went for something else. It's you fucking brat. Alvida shouted when she saw Luna. Ha, the crazy old woman who kidnapped Kobe. Luna shouted, recognizing Alvida. This made Alvida explode. I'm not an old woman and I'm not crazy, you damn rubber brat. She shouted furiously. What's going on here? Asked a fifth voice arriving at the place. It was the old man from before. Excuse me for this commotion sir, it seems that the girls here have some kind of fight between them haha. Issei apologized with Luna still stuck to him like a limpet. I don't give a damn about that, don't cause any damage to the place, or I'll make you pay dearly like this brat. Said the old man pointing at Luna. True. Issei put Luna down. I saw that you have her working here, what did she do? Issei asked. That brat destroyed part of my restaurant with a cannonball and left me like this, so she'll have to work a whole year to pay for all that. Said the old man angrily. Oh, I see. Said Issei looking at Luna. I see you like getting into trouble. He commented. It's not no fault, it's the fault of that iron-fisted fool who threw the bullet. Said Luna, remembering a pink-haired guy. Whatever, leave the knight alone and go do your damn job. Said Sandy, annoyed, and then looked at Issei and smiled as she approached him to take his hands. Dear customer, I'm sorry that our incompetent cabin girl caused you trouble and someone like you. She said with a pitiful face. Ha, leave the boy alone, you silly eggplant, you always do that when you see a man you're interested in. Said the old man, sighing at the blonde's behavior. Issei doesn't judge her, but if that surprised him, did he perhaps catch the attention of this attractive woman? What can I say, my friend, you still have the touch. Said Drake. You just wake up to bother. Issei commented, but he heard snoring. Don't say that, old man, don't you see that he's going to think badly of me? I told the old man off, annoyed that his plans were being ruined. Relax, I'm not going to think anything bad of you, in fact, I'm surprised to have caught the attention of such a beautiful lady. Commented Issei, being chivalrous, because it was surprising to be the target of attraction of a beautiful girl, because he never was until he met them. Sandy opened her eyes and placed her hands on both of her blushing cheeks. Oh, dear customer, what are you saying? She said, moving in a strange way. Like Sanji, you know. The old man sighed. As I know, go back to work and don't cause any trouble. Said the old man, walking slowly away from the place. Sandy had to leave, but not before winking at Issei. Issei sat back down and looked at Alvida, who was upset. So, Luna was the one you faced. Issei said, remembering when he met Alvida days ago. Grrrr, yes, because of that brat I ended up there, although not everything was bad, thanks to that I have a devil fruit. Alvida commented. True, you told me that you now have powers that make surfaces or whatever you touch soft. Said Issei, remembering something from a little over 2 days ago, where she showed him the power of her fruit. Yes, thanks to her I am more beautiful now. Alvida commented, smiling. I'd have to see what you were like before to say that. Issei said. I just had freckles on my face and some other imperfections. Alvida said, downplaying it. Oh, I see. Issei said. So you'll be part of that brat's crew? Alvida asked, looking at Issei. Well, although I didn't promise her, she thinks so, and it seems like she's one of those people who insists until you accept, so I'll think about that proposal for a moment, although I don't know, but I feel like she could make things more interesting. Commented Issei, taking a drink that was on the table. Alvida saw him, she didn't understand how someone like him, who according to her, could dominate everything with ease, would be thinking of joining a brat's group. Whatever. She said, because in the end she would follow him, it was better than being stuck here in East Blue, she wanted to climb, and with Issei, she could get to know the Grand Line and beyond. After a while Luna approached Issei and Alvida again, going straight to Issei. "So, will you join my crew?" she asked with a smile. "Until when will you be working here?" Issei asked. She became discouraged and pouted. "See you in a year," she said depressed. Well, let me think about it, I'll stay here for a while, and then I'll tell you my answer, okay?" said Issei, which encouraged Luna a lot. "Really? Good," she shouted happily. "Wait a moment, I may think so, but that doesn't mean I'm already in your crew," said Issei, but that didn't erase Luna's smile. "Hey cabin boy, stop bothering the distinguished client and get your ass over here, you still have work to do," shouted Sandy angrily. Luna had to reluctantly go. Issei laughed a little amused at that. "Well, let's pay and go to the ship, we'll be here for a few days," Issei commented, taking several bills out of his pocket. "Are you really going to think about it?" Alvida asked. "Yes," said Issei, looking for someone to call to pay the bill, and Sandy immediately arrived with a smile. "Can I get you anything else?" Sandy asked, smiling. "Sure, the bill please," Issei asked. "Oh, that means you're leaving now, what a shame," said Sandy looking sad. No, I'll be here for a few days," Issei commented without understanding the reason for her sadness. Hearing that made Sandy's face turn happy. "I see, well, here, this is the bill for your food, plus I gave you a discount for being such a lovely person," said Sandy smiling at Issei to see Alvida with a normal face. "This is yours, you pay everything in full," she said, passing him a paper with what she ate. Alvida began to growl, a vein bulging on her forehead. Issei sighed and paid for the two. "Thank you for choosing us, I hope you come back here often," said Sandy smiling at the brown-haired boy who just nodded. They both left, with Issei thanking Sandy for the service they provided, and Alvida gave him the middle finger, and Sandy only returned the favor. Then they went to the brown-haired boy's ship to be, because in the end, they would wait a few days in which Issei sees if he accepts or not to be in the girl's crew. As they left, Nami saw Issei surprised, as she did not expect to see him after several years, and worse, with Alvida who also surprised her with her physical change, that became more beautiful than the old wanted poster. She thought Issei was a pirate for being with one, and that bothered her, because in the end, Najiko ended up helping an injured pirate who had some fruit power that could make him talk while sleeping. There is a lot of imagination in that little head. 2 days later. 2 days have passed since Issei and Alvida arrived at the Barati. It has also been 2 days since Luna met Issei again. Some things to note are that Issei and Alvida have been having lunch and dinner at the Barati, although Issei received breakfast prepared by Sandy, who has been hovering around him since he stayed there. Clearly Alvida and the blonde have had strong clashes, with Alvida yelling at her, while Sandy talks to her boarder somewhat annoyed, as she only wanted to talk to Issei. Luna also passed by Issei's ship, amazed by it and what it possesses, also insisting that he become a pirate with her, so that they could sail the seas and reach the end to get the One Piece, and thus become the pirate queen. That time was used by Issei to train, and now Alvida joined him to train his physique. Issei also saw Nami, although he didn't talk to her, Drake showed him what she looked like, and he only received serious looks from her. He didn't give much importance to that since it was possibly because she didn't like him being in his room recovering. Now, at the bow of the ship, Issei was sitting on a chair while talking to Sandy, who was sitting on another chair. What were they talking about? "So your dream is to find that legendary all-blue sea?" Issei commented. "Yes, I want to find that sea. Ever since I heard about that sea, it has been my biggest dream to find a place where all the marine species from each sea come together," said Sandy, smiling excitedly. "It's a nice dream," Issei commented, making the blonde smile more. "And you, Ice-kun? Do you have any dreams?" asked Sandy. Alvida was not there, because after training she got tired and was asleep. Issei did not make it easy for her, even if she was a delicate lady as she said. "A dream," said Issei, looking away from Sandy and looking at the blue sky. If I had a dream, it's just one that might be impossible to fulfill," he said, sounding melancholic. Sandy was surprised by that, but didn't say anything. It seemed to be something serious. "A dream of meeting all my loved ones again one day," Issei commented, smiling, although it was a sad smile. Sandy didn't say anything, but she felt bad for him. She wasn't stupid, she knew immediately what he meant by that. "Oh, I see, I'm sorry if I asked you that question, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable," said Sandy. "Don't worry, you didn't know anyway," the brown-haired boy commented. The two were silent, Sandy uncomfortable thinking that he screwed up, but Issei was calm. In that. "Hey, get back to work already, it's not your break yet, you can talk to your new boyfriend later," shouted the guy with strong arms called Patty. Sandy blushed a lot and got upset, making Issei laugh amused. "Patty, you fucking idiot, stop talking nonsense," the blonde shouted, embarrassed. Issei just looked at her amused. "How do I know? Get your pale ass off your back and get back to work already," Patty shouted as she entered the restaurant. Sandy blushed and looked at Issei, who smiled amusedly, blushing more. Go, you still have work, said Issei, not wanting to delay the blonde's work. I'm sorry, but I'll be back for lunch. I'll bring you something delicious, said Sandy, smiling. I'll be waiting for him, said Issei. He had to accept or she would become as insistent as Luna, so he accepted. Well, see you later, Ice-kun, said Sandy as she jumped onto the deck of the Bereti and got to work. That girl really likes you, said Drake, half asleep. Stop saying things, he's just being nice to me, said Issei, because it was foolish for him to think that a girl would fall in love with him 2 days after meeting him. Drake didn't say anything and went to sleep. Issei just got up from his chair and went to his room. He was going to read for a while. It was at noon that day that something happened. A huge, barely serviceable galleon appeared near the Bereti. That just meant something. Problems. Bereti. Being much larger than the restaurant ship, there was a huge wrecked galleon floating in front of the ship. Issei was watching all of that from inside his ship, confused by it. Knock 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 knock. Ice, open quickly, this is important, Alvida shouted, sounding upset. Issei left his room and went to the woman, opened the door and saw her distressed. What's wrong? Issei asked, confused. Haven't you seen that ship? Alvida asked, dismayed. Of course, what's wrong? Issei asked, confused. Well, this ship belongs to the great fleet of ships of Don Krieg, a damn pirate who went to the Grand Line not long ago. He is stronger and more dangerous than me, due to his enormous fleet. Alvida commented, scared, because she only faced that guy once and survived with great casualties among her subordinates. Well, let's go to the Bereti, something tells me this is going to get really ugly. Issei commented as he went to the boat but was stopped by the woman. Are you crazy? That bastard is a creep and he has a poison capable of killing entire cities if thrown. You shouldn't go there, said Alvida nervously. Issei saw that, she really looked worried. He sighed and gently took the woman's hand while looking at her face. Listen, if you don't want to go it's fine, but don't worry, nothing can harm me, and nothing has done so since I arrived, so calm down, I'll just go see what's happening, and then I'll come back, said Issei since Alvida only saw him. Then he let go of her hand and went to see what would happen because this could be a big problem. Alvida watched him leave, she wanted to listen to him, she wanted to stay, but… Ugh, wait for me, she said, going after him. She couldn't leave him alone in a possible bad situation. Issei and Alvida arrived at the Bereti from the other side, seeing that there was a commotion. Ice. Luna shouted when she saw Issei arriving with Alvida. Oh, the crazy old lady is here too, she said, bothering Alvida. Brat, you better go, this could be a problem, Zeph said, looking at Issei. What's going on? Issei asked, ignoring what Zeph said, then he looked at Sandy lying on the ground, somewhat beaten. And why is she lying down? He asked the old man. Hey brat, you better listen to the old man, said the guy who caused all this. A tall fit guy with blue-gray hair, with a bandage on his head. Issei saw him, he was big, yes, but that doesn't mean he's powerful, and he knows what power is. Alvida was nervous, thankful that her wanted poster was out of date, as she looked nothing like her current self. I ask again, what's going on here? Issei asked Luna this time, because he felt that she could answer him. He attacked Sandy after she fed him, Jin brought him, he is their captain, and they are wounded. Luna commented. Oh, I see, Issei said. Stupid brat, you better get out of here before. But Patty got ahead of him. You got distracted, this place has pirate clients, and we need to be prepared for any situation that comes our way, so eat this, shouted Patty, holding a strange shrimp-shaped cannon. Syrup cannon. And fired. Krieg was surprised. You must be kidding me. And he got shot. Boo boss, Jin shouted. The explosion raised dust and dragged until it destroyed the door. Oh, I broke the door, no way, I have to fix it, said Patty. And what are we going to do with the rest of your crew? Asked Sandy, standing up while cleaning her suit. Butter them and light them on fire, Patty said, shouldering her cannon. That sounds delicious, Krieg's voice said, surprising everyone. Everyone except Issei was surprised as they saw Krieg completely changed as he now wore golden armor. Armor, Patty shouted. Issei looked at that seriously because if this continued, this would end badly. Before anyone could do anything, the brown-haired boy spoke. That guy is troublesome and won't leave until he gets what he wants, so I'll take care of it, Issei said, making everyone see. Don't talk nonsense, kid, we'll take care of this, said one of the cooks named Karn. Ice-kun, it could be bad, don't rush it, said Sandy, worried about Issei's well-being. True, the oxygenated one is right, it is dangerous, said Alvida, obviously annoying Sandy. Whatever, I know those of his kind, they are not happy with what they are given, they want more, besides, this is a dog that bites the hand that fed him, so he doesn't deserve anything, said Issei, starting to walk towards the subject who looked at him contemptuously. But then Jin stepped in. Get out of here. Issei said seriously. I'm sorry kid, but he's still my captain and I can't let you try. Ugh. But he didn't finish when Issei gave him a strong blow to the abdomen that knocked him out. Everyone was surprised, as they did not expect such an act of violence from a boy who seemed harmless. Issei ignored everything and left the restaurant. Damn, a fight. Commented the big-nosed boy called Usopp. The girl with green hair and 3 swords saw that with interest, former pirate hunter, Murano Azora. I don't know if you're brave or stupid, but it doesn't matter, I'll kill you, and then I'll take this restaurant as my new ship. Said Krieg, confident in his weapons. Don't talk stupid things, you're not getting out of here alive. Said Issei moving a little, preparing to fight. Stupid brat, you'll see, I'll make you go through hell. Said Krieg to launch himself against Issei. Everyone went out to see what was happening. Issei. Alvida shouted worriedly. Issei saw Krieg's punch being directed at his face. It was slow, very slow. No, he was faster than Krieg, that's why he saw him move slowly. He just raised his hand and stopped the blow easily. Pam. Impossible. Krieg shouted in surprise, as he didn't move Issei even a bit. Everyone was surprised. Yes. Luna shouted, happy to see that. It's your turn, it's my turn. Issei said to throw a powerful punch to the man's abdomen. Krieg was thrown against his ship, the breastplate of his armor being destroyed in the process, as Issei's blow was very powerful. Everyone, literally everyone, was surprised. But what strength does that boy have? Said Patty surprised. He destroyed an iron armor and sent that guy flying very easily. Said Karn. Alvida was stunned, she didn't expect Issei to be so powerful. He's strong. Zora. Commented, impressed. Are you really trying to recruit him Luna? Usopp asked Luna. Of course, and you didn't see it, but it has great wings. Said Luna. Usopp was surprised, but he didn't believe much in it, since Luna tended to exaggerate things sometimes. And Sandy. But what a man. She had hearts in her eyes while moving strangely. Issei looked seriously at the galleon, he saw Krieg getting up in pain and with blood dripping from his mouth. You're resilient, one of those blows could be fatal for a normal man. Issei said calmly. Ugh. Damn fucking brat. Said Krieg annoyed, he felt a horrible burning in his abdomen, thanks to his armor that blow did not kill him, but if he receives another one he could even be pierced from side to side. The members of the Dawn Creek pirates were amazed to see how their captain had been severely beaten, as no one had ever been capable of something so crazy. In that. What the hell? They all shouted. Krieg's galleon was suddenly cut off. Issei became serious, a strong presence is approaching the place. Everyone moved away as the Bereti began to shake due to the sinking galleon. Issei just stood there watching the ship fall apart into pieces. Shit, Nami, Johnny and Yasaku are still on the Mary. Luna shouted, starting to run, followed by Usopp and Zora. I'll go see that nothing happens to the ship. Said Alvida running to Issei's ship. So it's him. Zeph said, watching a small boat approaching in the distance. Issei adjusted his vision and looked at the owner of the strong presence that was approaching. Issei looked at the guy and he raised his gaze. They both exchanged glances, it was strange, but Issei knew that this guy was powerful just by looking at him. Krieg was scared, he didn't expect them to follow him here. Damn it, DE. Shouted one of the Krieg crew members, still hungry, fear gave him the strength to take his weapons and shoot, but the guy only held his sword and deflected the bullets with ease. The man stopped and stood on one of the pieces that had once been the galleon's bow. At that point Zora appeared, with a defiant smile. Issei saw that and just stepped aside, he felt like something interesting would happen here. You really are the strongest. Zora commented smiling. The man looked at her with his serene face. I went out to sea just to find you. Zora commented. What is your motive? The man asked. Being the strongest. Zora commented, tying her scarf over her head. Everyone recognized Zora, the pirate hunter who wields 3 swords. Painful and weak. Said the man known as the strongest swordsman, Dracul Mihik. If you think you are a swordsman we don't need to cross our blades, I see our difference with the naked eye. Said the man seriously. The bravery of standing before me with sword in hand, is it from your heart or simple ignorance? He asked. It's because of my ambition and a promise to an old friend of mine. Zora commented, preparing to fight. Mihik looked at Zora's determination in her eyes, she had no plans to back down. Issei saw that, this will possibly end badly for the green-haired girl. Everyone was silent watching what was about to happen. Alvida arrived and almost died of a heart attack when she saw Mihik there, so she quickly went to Issei, since she felt safer near him. Zora was ready, but she saw something that bothered her. What do you think you're doing with that? She asked annoyed. Mihik had taken a small black dagger from his crucifix. I'm not stupid enough to go all out when hunting rabbits, for your information, of the 4 seas the East Blue is the weakest of all, so excuse me since I don't have anything smaller than this. Said Mihik looking serious about the matter. You'll regret underestimating me, Oni. Zora shouted, launching into the attack. Jiri. And launched his attack, but she had been easily stopped by Mihik. That surprised everyone, even Issei a little. She did not give up and continued to attack. But she was easily stopped just the same. What is your goal? Why do you seek power, being as weak as you are? Mihik asked with his face unchanging. This clearly upset Zora, but it also upset Johnny and Yusaku. Idiot. You dare call Aneki weak? Yusaku asked angrily. Yeah, you'll be seeing us. Johnny shouted. They were both going to go inside, but were stopped by Luna. Stop, don't go. Luna shouted. True, if they go they'll just be a hindrance. Issei commented near them. You. They both shouted. But Issei ignored them and continued watching the fight. Zora attacked again, this time upset by what Mihik said. He rolled on the ground and attacked. Tora. Gari. And launched the attack, but this time it was different. A powerful attack and a strong stab very close to the heart was what stopped her. I wanted. Yelled Johnny and Yusaku. Issei saw that seriously. She's crazy. Alvida commented. No, it's determined. Issei commented. Do you want this knife to pierce your heart? Why don't you back off? Mihik asked. I don't know, if I take a step back, I feel like I'll be breaking my promise and I won't be able to move forward. Zora commented, holding back the pain. Exactly, it's called defeat. Said Mihik. Haha, that's why I can't back down. Said Zora smiling still with a katana in her mouth. Even if you risk your life? Mihik asked. Dead first. Zora said with complete seriousness. Mihik admitted that the woman before him had great determination. Tell me, what's your name? Mihik asked, stepping back. Hirano Zora. Zora answered, putting her swords in a strange position. I will remember that, it has been a long time since I met anyone with a will like yours, and out of respect for that, I will use this black sword, the most powerful in the world for the final blow. Said Mihik holding his black sword. Zora braced herself, spinning both swords in her hands, and Mihik lunged at her. Yes, I'm sorry. It's not the same as the world. I hate you and I hate you. But this time she lost, after all, it was the strongest swordsman in the world she faced. She sighed and stood up, spreading her arms out to the sides, holding her only surviving sword from the clash. This came as a surprise to Mihik. What are you doing? The man asked. Zora smiled and replied. A wound in the back is the most insulting thing for a swordsman. Said Zora. Admirable. Mihik said as he made one last cut. Zaraya. Luna screamed, but Issei stopped her. No, let me go. She screamed, wanting to get away from the grip. Calm down, you're still alive. Issei shouted, causing everyone to look at him. He's right, she's still alive. Mihik mentioned, sheathing his sword. Everyone was surprised, why did he let her live? Mihik looked at Zora who was barely breathing. My name is Dracul Mihik, it's too soon for you to die, know yourself, know the world. Mihik said as he walked away. Be strong Urano. He said and then stopped and looked at Issei intently. Issei saw it too. They both held each other's gaze, creating a certain tension in the atmosphere. Until Mihik spoke. Tell me, boy, how does someone like you end up in a place like this? The man asked. I don't know what you mean. Issei said. You're a big fish in a pond, your place is not here. Mihik commented. Issei now understood what he meant. I don't care, I go where I want, and if I'm here it's because I want it to be. Issei commented without being disrespectful. Mihik just looked at him and started to leave. I hope to see you in the future, I'm interested in knowing your progress. Said Mihik boarding his small boat. Mihik walked past Krieg, who challenged him, but that only served to send Mihik using his sword to send everyone flying, so much so that Usopp, Johnny, and Yusaku took the wounded Zora and put her on the bounty hunter's ship. Zora promised Luna to become strong and not lose, while Usopp said something about going to find Nami. Issei just watched as Mihik walked away, he didn't know how he knew about his power, but now that didn't matter. Well, we had a little setback, but let's get back to our business Brad. Said Krieg looking at Issei. His men were tired and scared, what just happened was no small thing. Hey old man, if I put this idiot to sleep, will he let Luna go? Issei asked without looking at Zeph. The ex-pirate understood what Issei meant. Sure, as long as it doesn't ruin my ship, it's fine. Said Zeph. Are you really going to continue fighting him? Alvida asked. Yes, but this time it will be the end that guy didn't give her. Issei said without looking at her. Hey Issei, I want to kick that idiot's ass. Luna shouted angrily. No, I'll take care of it. Issei said without looking at her. She wanted to protest, but Sandy kicked her in the head. He already said he'll take care of it, let him do it. The blonde shouted furiously, she knew how to distinguish someone powerful, and what Issei did to Krieg before Mihik arrived was not just anyone's thing. Issei jumped, landing on the piece of ship where Krieg was standing. Very brave brat, but don't think you'll take me by surprise. Krieg said as he quickly pulled weapons from the shoulder pads of what remained of his armor. Issei took the bullets full force. Shit, Issei. Alvida screamed scared. No. Luna screamed scared because she thought they killed him. Hahaha, shitty brat, that's what you deserve for. But his rant was stopped by Issei himself, who was still without showing any annoyance. Shut up, your voice is annoying, and look, you damaged my clothes. Said Issei, shaking off the bullets that were stuck to his chest because his skin was as hard as diamond since they were dragon scales. This left everyone with their mouths open. How the hell did the bullets not hurt you? Krieg asked incredulously. What do you care? Said Issei. Fucking brat, I'm going to crush your fucking skull. Said Krieg, taking something from the ground. It was a strange weapon with a round part and it was golden. No way, MH5 is used. Shouted one of Krieg's subordinates. Issei was prepared. Krieg took the part of his and held it like a shield. He took out a mask and the others did the same, putting on their masks. He spoke. Now, brat, with this weapon I can wipe out entire villages, you'll all die and I'll take the ship to return with my men to the Grand Line. He shouted as he raised his shield and fired. A hole opened and a missile was fired, but Issei was not stupid and grabbed a piece of debris that made the bomb explode in the air, releasing a purple toxic gas. He destroyed the bomb in the air. Shouted another of the subordinates, not expecting that. Damn it. Krieg said nervously. Well, seeing that you were going to kill everyone, it's my turn to give you a little lesson. Issei said before attacking. No one could keep track of the speed at which the brown-haired boy moved, but he closed the distance with Krieg so quickly that the latter was frightened to see him in front of him. Say goodbye to this world. Was the only thing Issei said before doing something that surprised everyone. Pew. Krieg vomited a lot of blood and fell to the ground, dead. They were all cold, or well, some of them, because it's not every day you see someone kill without blinking. Luna was surprised, but she didn't say anything because she was prepared for this type of situation, since being a pirate also involved dying or killing. Issei only saw Krieg's corpse. He didn't feel anything because in the end killing a human being or a supernatural being was the same. They were individuals, and Krieg was not good after all. The brown-haired boy sighed and turned around, returning to where the others were. He looked at Zeph, who looked at him. Call the Navy and collect the reward. Issei said as he started walking to his ship. He would have to clean up a bit as well as change. Everyone watched him leave. Luna wanted to go after him, but Sandy stopped her. Leave him, he obviously wants to take a break. Said the blonde seriously. Well, I'll call the Navy to come take these guys away. Zeph said. Sandy saw Jin and, taking pity on him, picked him up like a sack of potatoes and began to carry him inside. What are you doing? Patty asked. He's not an idiot like his other companions, so let's just tie him up and then see what to do with him. She said, walking past. They were going to protest, but Zeph denied it. Leave her alone, she'll know what she's doing. Said Zeph. Whatever, we have to clean the place, and you, before I let you go, will help clean. He said, looking at Luna, who pouted annoyed. And so ends a small problem, although it ended somewhat strongly. That was how things were after all. Time after. Issei's ship. A day had passed since Issei killed Krieg. They had sent a Navy ship that took the pirate's body and the entire crew. Issei had seen everything from afar, as he didn't want to get close to see any of it. He could have killed Krieg, but that was more because he would be fucking around to the point of killing someone to get what he wants, and those kinds of people bother him a lot. Alvida arrived, looked at him worriedly, but he told her that everything was okay, that it wasn't the first time he had killed someone. That calmed the woman, and everything went on as normal. Sandy arrived to give him dinner, so he stayed to chat for a while and then went back to rest, promising to return to give him a good breakfast. Now, Issei was going to eat at the Barati to see if they could give him food to eat on the ship, since Alvida didn't want to see Sandy's face. But Issei saw the blonde sitting on the floor, leaning on a door leading to the kitchen. She saw him and motioned for him to come closer quietly, and Issei complied. The brown-haired boy sat next to her and, straining his ears, listened to what they were saying inside. I heard everyone talking about how she was a great cook, that her food was better than theirs. Until I hear Zeph's voice. Hey brat. Would you take that little eggplant with you to the Grand Line? It's her dream. Commented the ex-pirate, who he could deduce was Luna. Issei saw that Sandy, she shed small tears when she heard them speak well of her, even though they were recently saying that her food was shit. Issei sat next to her as she leaned on him, and Issei didn't say anything as he looked at the horizon. They both heard Luna's refusal to Zeph's request, as he wanted her to go of her own free will and join as his cook, while Zeph didn't know what to do to make her accept. Issei was going to whisper something to Sandy when they both saw a very WTF scene. A shark was approaching them with something in its mouth. What the fuck? Was what Issei said. Kaya, I'm scared, Ice Kayun, protect me. Said Sandy, taking advantage of the bug and, bedding on top of Issei, burying his face between her big breasts. Issei wasn't bothered, but he was still confused by the shark, as he clearly saw that Yusaku was inside that shark's mouth. The shark gained momentum and made a tremendous jump that crashed into the restaurant, about 5 meters from where they both were. The commotion caused those inside the kitchen to come out, as they saw both the shark and what Sandy was doing. "Oi, leave the boy alone, you're suffocating him," said Zeph, looking seriously at the blonde. "Don't worry old man, I'm fine," said Issei, holding the blonde by the waist and with his nose in a perfect space to breathe, all thanks to many hugs with Ryuzuru Keno. "Hiya, Ice-kun, don't talk," said Sandy, smiling, blushing. Zeph wanted to hit Issei, but he put that aside since they had important matters. Luna took Yusaku out of the shark that was caught by a blow the girl gave him. She sat the man against a wall, he looked tired and hurt, and they gave him a blanket to keep him warm. "Hey, what happened? Why are you alone? Where are the others and Nami?" Luna asked, worried. "Luna and Eki, we never caught up with Nami and Eki, but from the direction she was going we knew where she was headed," Yusaku said. "Well, with that we can go get her and bring her back with us," said Luna. "The problem is that, if she goes where we think she goes, I can tell you that it is an extremely dangerous place," Yusaku said, looking serious and worried. Issei and Sandy were already standing, the blonde being close to him, but watching everything seriously. "Where is she going?" Issei asked. Yusaku saw him, he thought he would leave, but this was perfect because they would need all the help they could get, and knowing what Issei did to Krieg, everything would probably turn out better. "There's no time to talk, I'll tell you everything on the way, but please, Luna and Eki, and you friend, we need your strength," said Yusaku, seeing Issei at the end. "Of course, I don't really understand what this is about, but okay, let's go," said Luna with her arms crossed. "I'll go with you too," said Jin as he came out from inside the ship. He looked hurt, but he was still holding on well. He saw Issei and got scared. Issei saw him, but didn't pay much attention to him. "Right, are you okay?" Luna asked, looking at her new crew member. "It still hurts from the hit he gave me, but other than that, everything's fine," said Jin, rubbing his stomach while looking nervously at Issei. Luna then looked at Issei, who sighed. "Yes, I will join your crew," Issei said, smiling slightly. "Yes," she said happily. At that Sandy spoke. "I'm going too," Sandy said with a cigarette in her mouth. Everyone, except Issei, was surprised by what the blonde said. "I want to walk the path to the Queen of Pirates with you, we both know that it is having crazy dreams, I will go for my own good, I will take the position of cook on your ship, does that seem okay to you?" said the blonde, smiling. Luna opened her eyes wide and smiled. "Yes, so good," Luna shouted, twice as happy. "Congratulations Luna and Eki," said Yusaku, happy for Luna. "That and to spend more time with Ice Kaiun," said Sandy, clinging to Issei's left arm while smiling strangely. Zeph sighed heavily as he shook his head. "Bah, I don't like that, I wanted to kick you out of here personally," said Patty. "Sorry for putting on that pathetic act," Sandy said condescendingly. "Da damn, did you know?" the cook asked in surprise. "Of course I knew it, you're all idiots," said the bored blonde, surprising everyone. "That reflects how desperate you are for me to leave, right you stinky old man?" she asked Zeph. "Hey, aren't any nice words going to come out of your mouth?" Patty shouted, offended. But Zeph stopped him. "Humph, that's right, little eggplant, I've always hated brats, not a day has gone by where I haven't regretted saving you, you little bastard," said Zeph seriously. "Ha, it's fine with me grandpa, you better worry about the few years you have left," said the blonde, annoyed. Issei saw that interaction, he knew that what they said and what they felt did not agree, but apparently that was a way of expressing themselves between them. Time after. "Are you really coming with us?" Alvida asked, looking annoyed at Jin and Yusaku, who were loading boxes of supplies onto the ship. "Yes, in the end I joined Luna and her crew," Issei said, arranging the provisions. "I thought it would just be the two of us," she whispered, annoyed. "And we will be, at least until we recover Luna's ship, because in the end this ship will only be for us," said Issei, arranging more boxes. Alvida was surprised by the answer, she didn't expect to be listened to, but she was glad to hear that. "By the way, Sandy is also in the crew and well, now you will see her more often," said Issei, knowing that she and the blonde don't get along. "What? A little minium is all that's missing," shouted Alvida, annoyed. Jin and Yusaku looked at the woman nervously, they could feel that fury. Issei just ignored that and continued arranging boxes. "But what a beautiful ship, it has many things that the Mary doesn't," said Luna, arriving on deck while eating a sandwich. Alvida saw that, annoyed. "Stupid brat, that was the sandwich Ice made for me," Alvida shouted angrily. "And it's very good," said Luna, smiling with satisfaction. "You will be." Alvida was very upset with Luna. "Come on Alvida, I'll make you another fucking sandwich later, stop fighting, you're older than her, act like it," said Issei, annoyed. Alvida fell silent, Jin and Yusaku looked at Issei with respect, even Luna was scared. Me, just because you said so. Said Alvida calmer and if someone looks closely, a little blushed. After a few minutes everything was ready, so Issei moved the ship towards the main entrance of the Baradi. All the workers in the place were outside making room, while Zeph was leaning on the railings. On the second floor watching everything. It's really taking a while. Said Jin. He must be saying goodbye to the place, after all, this was his home. Issei commented. At that point Sandy came out carrying a suitcase with her. She walked calmly along the path made by the local cooks. At that point Patty and Karn jumped up wanting to hit the blonde supposedly out of revenge for all the beatings she gave them, but they were the ones who got beaten. Let's go. Sandy said without looking back. Aren't you going to say goodbye? Luna asked confused. Nah. She said. In that. Hey Sandy. Zeph was now the center of attention, he looked at the blonde with a slight smile. Don't catch a cold. He said and that was enough. Sandy didn't want to, but her emotions got the better of her. Zeph, master. She fell to her knees and bowed her head to the ground. I owe you so much, for so long I will never forget this debt I have with you for the rest of my life. She screamed while crying. Zeph couldn't stand it and started shedding tears. It was an emotional farewell, there was crying, and they said they were going to miss her, although she promised to see them again, once they had finished their journey. Issei smiled slightly, even a tear escaped. Come on, let's set sail. Shouted Luna. And so Sandy joined the growing Mujiwara crew. Here Ice Kyan, I made this especially for you. Said Sandy helpfully passing a drink to the brunette who was arranging the food in the food storage. Thanks Andy, you shouldn't have bothered. Said Issei grateful to the blonde. Don't worry, I'm very happy to be of service to you. Said Sandy with a loving smile. Issei just took the drink looking at the smiling blonde, she was strange to him, because unlike what he saw when she interacted with other men whom she treated with respect, with him, it was different and more so in these 3 days that they knew each other. If you keep this up, she'll be eating out of the palm of your hand. Said Drake. Only for those stupid things awake. Said Issei. Drake just laughed. Then they both went up to the deck of the ship, with everyone sitting on chairs that Issei took out of the storage room. Issei took a seat on a chair, and Sandy immediately sat on another one next to him. Well then, where are we headed? Issei asked Yusaku. True, I already want Nami to come back with us so we can go straight to the Grand Line. Said Luna smiling. You look too happy about that, do you know that counting Nami, Jin, Ice Kyan and that idiot, there are 7 of us? Said Sandy earning an annoyed look from Alvida for how she referred to her. What the oxygenated one said is true, that could be fatal for us as a crew. Said Alvida seriously. Now it was Sandy's turn to get upset. Luna, with all due respect, but the Grand Line is no small feat. If there are only a few of us, we could die just moments after entering. Said Jin, as he knows the terror of the Grand Line. I close that. Place is deceptive, several times I ended up lost in the middle of nowhere, even once I ended up in the calm belt because of the changing sea of that place. Said Issei remembering his stay in that sea. Jin was surprised. Have you been to the Grand Line? Jin asked. Yes, in fact, I have days since I returned from the Grand Line to here. Said Issei surprising Yusaku and Jin. Shit, that's amazing. Yusaku commented impressed. But the one who was most surprised was Luna. Were you really in the Grand Line? Luna asked surprised and went to hook on top of Issei shaking him. Luna, let go of Ice-kun once and for all. Sandy shouted, trying to separate Luna from Issei. Yes, I forgot to mention it. Issei said calmly. And what is that place like? Yusaku asked intrigued. Well, it's… Luna closed Issei's mouth by wrapping her hands around his mouth. Don't say anything. Luna shouted, because if she didn't want Zeph's diary before, she'll even less want to hear Issei talk about it. Oi Luna, release Ice. Shouted Sandy furiously. Yes, the oxygenated one is right, release Ice you demon brat. Shouted Alvida joining in to try to separate Luna from Issei. Yusaku and Jin watched, Jin sighed, and Yusaku felt jealous. And Issei felt tired by the situation he had on top of him, and it didn't help that Luna was rubbing her butt on his lap. Ha 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 ha, this will be a very fun trip. Said Drake laughing at what was happening to Issei. And so the journey to find Nami and have Luna reintegrate her into the group began. Hours later. Well, if nothing goes wrong, we'll be on Konomi Island by nightfall. Issei said as he reached the boat where everyone was gathered. This boat is great, with that tail-driven engine traveling across the sea is easier. Commented Yusaku. Are the famous Water 7 shipyards really that good? Jin asked. Well, it was one in particular that is honestly too good, although yes, very peculiar. Said Issei sitting on a wooden chair. Here Ice-kun. Said Sandy passing a cold drink to the brunette. Thanks Sandy. Issei thanked her as she smiled happily. Don't worry, serving you is very rewarding to me. Said Sandy laughing. Alvida looked at Sandy badly, because since she was on the ship, she has not stopped following Issei. She looked like a puppy following its owner. Jin and Yusaku saw that, as they clearly noticed the murderous look Alvida was giving to the smiling Sandy, who sat very close to Issei. Being popular with girls can be troublesome. Yusaku commented quietly to Jin. Don't even say it, said Jin. At that, Luna came to the bow to sit on Issei's lap in a sleepy manner, since she had gone to sleep in his room for a while. Hey Luna, get off Ice-kun's lap, said Sandy jealously, because she wanted to sit there but didn't want to make Issei uncomfortable with her sudden audacity. Wait, are we there yet? Luna asked while rubbing her eye and leaning on Issei. No, not yet, but I'll get it in an hour and a half. Issei said calmly while enjoying his drink. I see, said Luna, making her stomach growl. I'm hungry, she said, looking at the annoyed Sandy. Make me something to eat, she asked. I won't do anything to you, now get off Ice-kun's lap. Sandy shouted angrily, demanding that last thing. No, it's comfortable, said Luna, settling in. Issei sighed. Stop fighting, and you brat, get down from there, don't you see that Issei is uncomfortable? Said Alvida, looking annoyed at both of them. What the idiot says is true, get off Issei, Sandy demanded. Issei sighed, sat Luna down on a nearby chair and spoke. Please, no fighting, seriously, you better save your energy, because where we are going is not a nice place, said Issei as the two women fell silent. So you know about Arlong Park? Yusaku said. Where are those fishmen? Jin asked. Yes, I know about them. In fact, I know about them because on my travels I began to investigate about various things, and well, I learned that a certain Arlong is the one who has the entire Konomi Island prisoners of fear. His main base of operations is Arlong Park, and they do what they want, holding on to the Shishibukai status of a fishman named Jin, said Issei, surprising everyone except Luna, who was still sleepy, with such information. You are pretty informed, commented Jin. I have to be, because the information is vital for a long trip or for crucial moments, said Issei. Besides, in the Kakeashi village lives someone who helped me even though he shouldn't, and well, I have to pay him more than just money, he commented. Oh, I see, but what do you plan to do? Jin asked. Easy, kill Arlong, Issei says calmly. That threw everyone off balance, even Luna lost sleep. Really? Kill Arlong? Alvida asked, surprised. Do you really think you can kill a fishman? Yusaku asked, alarmed. Even Don Krieg feared the power of those guys, said Jin. Well, what's the difference between a fishman and a sea king? Issei asked, confused. Wait, Ice-kun, you mean those giant monsters? Sandy asked. Have you encountered those monsters yet? Alvida asked. Yes, in fact I killed several on the way to the sea. After all, I crossed the calm belt with this ship, said Issei, disconcerting everyone even more. Really? Everyone shouted except Luna. Yes, after all, this ship doesn't need the wind to move, although it did need that coating to be undetectable in calm belt. Too bad they didn't have that in Water 7, commented Issei. Everyone looked at Issei in surprise. Issei, come over, Luna shouted, throwing herself at Issei. The brown-haired boy grabbed her by the thighs, and the girl wrapped her arms and legs around the brown-haired boy's body, bothering Sandy. Luna, let go of Ice-kun, Sandy shouted angrily. But she was obviously ignored by the brunette. Please Issei, I know you are strong, so train me to be stronger, Luna said, smiling. Issei saw her, it was obvious that she was determined to become stronger. So who was he not to help her? Well, I'll help you train, but believe me, this could even kill you, said Issei seriously, because for months he has increased his training in such a way that an ordinary human would die, but possibly a human from this world would be like Vasco Estrada, who was an old man, the former mentor of one of Issei's girlfriends, Zenobia. Are your training sessions that dangerous? Yusaku asked. Yes, in fact, I have special weights in the warehouse that I use to perform basic routines in a more extreme way. I think each weight weighed about 5 tons each, Issei said thoughtfully. Jin and Yusaku were surprised, so much weight. I also want you to train me, said Alvida, because although she has accompanied the brown-haired boy to his training, she knows how he trains and knows how hard it is. Although she only knows the normal part. Me too, I don't want to be left behind, shouted Sandy, looking annoyed at the two women. Hey, it's training, not something silly, be serious, said Issei. Since I'll be part of Luna-sen's crew, I'd like you to train me too if it's not too much trouble, said Jin, as he wanted to be stronger than when he was with the Krieg pirates. Ha, well, but not for now. After going for Luna's ship and that girl Inami, we will begin your training, so prepare yourselves both physically and mentally, because the training will be very exhausting, said Issei seriously. Sure, understood, I know that, I'll do my best, said the 4 people interested in the training. Yusaku could only watch everything in silence, he didn't know why, but he felt sorry for them. Anyway, I'll make something to eat, anything you want, Sandy asked. Meat. Refried beans. Luna and Yusaku shouted excitedly. Whatever is fine with me, said Jin. Some meat too, said Alvida. Whatever you do for me will be fine, said Issei. Of course, I'll go cook, and for you Ice-kun, I'll give you the most special dish of all, said Sandy, the last thing she said while seeing Issei smiling. Issei watched her leave, sighing. Seriously, I don't know how you do it, but you bring her dead, said Drake amused. Don't talk nonsense, Drake, you're only good at giving it, said Issei. So funny, it seems that too much internet rotted your brain, said Drake annoyed. Okay, you better go to sleep, you only wake up for this nonsense, said Issei. Yeah, I better go to sleep, said Drake, falling silent. And so time passed. Huh? Everyone was in the dining room of Issei's ship eating when something happened. A damn sea king, said Issei, leaving the dining room followed by Alvida, Sandy and an excited Luna, with Jin following them. Everyone saw the animal, which was a gigantic sea cow. What is one of them doing here? Yusaku shouted, terrified. Don't be surprised, the sea is vast and hides things that would terrify the bravest, said Issei darkly, scaring the poor bounty hunter even more. Scallop that the cow began to sniff. On the boat. It seems that the food attracted him, said Sandy. Then we have to give it to make it go away, said Alvida. In that. Gomu no. Pistol. Luna attacked the cow, hitting it hard in the face. What are you doing? Alvida shouted angrily. Well done, Aneki. Yusaku shouted. Shit, they angered the cow, said Jin, nervously watching as the cow came back, very upset by the blow. Moo. The cow let out a loud moo. I'm going to hit him again, Luna said, preparing herself, but a kick to the head stopped her. Calm down, you can't go around hitting anyone who's hungry, Sandy shouted angrily while holding a plate of food. Wait, Sandy, said Issei, approaching until he was in front of the beast that looked at him annoyed. Everyone looked at Issei, remembering that he has dealt with sea kings before. Wait, Ice-kun, don't kill her, she's just hungry, said Sandy. Let him kill her, so we'll have food, said Alvida. Issei ignored them and looked directly into the creature's eyes and then released a powerful wave of killing intent. Everyone felt a strong chill, sensing a sense of danger, and saw that the cause of all that was Issei. Although the one who had it worse was the poor cow. Now, you will stop trying to attack us, we will give you food, and then you take us to a place, said Issei, seriously looking at the poor animal that scared began to nod. Good, that's how I like it, Sandy, please give him something to eat and hit him if he tries to get smart. Jin, in the warehouse I have some chains, can you bring them? He said, and everyone nodded. Great, Issei and Nikki managed to tame that monster easily, Yusaku commented, impressed. He is undoubtedly an exceptional man, thought Alvida, blushing. Of course, Ice-kun, I'll feed him something delicious, said Sandy, fluttering around the brown-haired boy. Hey, I'm the captain, I have to give the orders, Luna complained, pouting. And so a sea monster joined the team. Let's go, Luna shouted. Thanks to the sea cow, the journey was faster. If we continue at this speed, we will reach Kinomi Island sooner than expected, Issei said, smiling. Seriously, this is a very efficient way to use a sea monster, said Jin, surprised at the speed at which they moved. In that, Luna saw something. Look, I see the island now, shouted the girl with the straw hat. And he was right, the island was already visible, but from the side where the fishmen are, the Arlong Park. But the sea cow did not follow that path, it went in another direction, increasing its speed even more. Hey, slow down, Jin shouted, alarmed. It's not that way, it's that way, Luna shouted angrily. Oh man, this isn't going to end badly, Issei said and done. The cow sank before hitting the shore, causing the boat to fly away. It can't be, Yusaku shouted. We're flying, Luna shouted excitedly. That's not good, Ice-kun's ship will be destroyed, shouted Sandy, shaking the girl. Issei didn't want his ship to get damaged, so he quickly jumped off it. Issei, what are you doing? Alvida asked. Save my ship, the brown-haired boy shouted, running on the ground while following the ship. His plan was to catch the ship before it crashed. He ran and ran. Several people from the Kakeashi village saw the ship fly, as Issei spread his wings and flew, sticking to the bottom of it. With that, he began to back away, stopping the ship's momentum and gently descending. The brown-haired boy stopped in front of a surprised Zora, who was looking at him, or rather, at his wings. Please don't say anything, said Issei, hiding his wings. Oh okay, said Zora, surprised. By the way, what strength, she commented, seeing how he held the boat easily. Issei got under the ship, although it was difficult, he managed it, although it moved a little to the side, and he clearly heard several things fall and break. Shit, Issei said. Oh, Zora, how are you? Look, I got her to join our crew, said Luna, pointing at Sandy. I see, but what is he doing here? Zora asked, pointing at Jin. I also joined Luna-sen's crew. Commented the former Krieg pirate. I see. Said Zora and then looked at Alvida and Issei. You too, I suppose. She said. I'm with Ice. Alvida said disinterestedly. Well, Luna insisted a lot, plus I don't have a fixed goal, so here I am. Said Issei. Where are Usopp and Johnny? Asked Luna looking for those mentioned. Shit, that's right, Usopp. Zora shouted, starting to run. Hey, what's going on? Luna asked. That idiot let himself be lured by Arlong, if we don't hurry up. The swordswoman said, upset, when someone stopped him. They killed him. Shouted Johnny, all agitated, arriving at everyone's side. This surprised almost everyone except Issei and Alvida, as that could be something likely. What do you mean they killed him? Jin asked. Yes, they killed Usopp and Ikki, and it was Nami and Eki who did it. Johnny shouted while shedding a few tears. That news shocked everyone, well, almost everyone. Issei saw that calmly, because he didn't believe that, after all, if his sister is someone kind, how could she be a ruthless killer? Besides, she didn't show herself to be that. Then he saw Luna angrily shaking Johnny, while Zora tried to push her away. Don't talk nonsense, Nami couldn't kill him, we're nakamas. Luna shouted furiously. Well, it seems that only you believed that. Alvida commented, earning an annoyed look from Luna. Issei saw someone else approaching, the person who is the center of the conversation now. And speaking of the Queen of Rome. Said Issei looking at Nami who came calmly holding a staff. Who are you calling Nakama, Luna? Nami asked calmly. Nami. Luna said calming down and looking at the girl. What are you doing here? Nami asked. Why do you ask that? You are our Nakama, we came here for you. Luna said confused. I didn't ask you to do it, besides, Nakama. Don't make me laugh, you only ask that we cooperate, don't you? Remember? Nami said condescendingly. Sandy just took out a cigarette and lit it, looking neutrally at Nami. Leave her alone Luna, that stupid girl isn't worth it. The blonde commented. TCH, this was a waste of time. Zora commented. Didn't I tell you? This chick is a fucking witch. She joined Arlong's crew, she's killed people without blinking, just to monopolize the town and keep the treasure that's hidden here. Johnny shouted angrily while pointing at Nami. Issei sighed, he was bored of that. Alvida, come on, I have to go visit someone. Issei said to the woman standing next to him. Of course, seeing this is sad. Alvida commented. The two turned around, maybe he'll find someone to show him the way to Nijiko's house. Hey you guys, where do you think you're going? Nami asked after arguing with Luna and the others, while Yusaku, Jin and Johnny were holding Zora and Sandy, who seemed to want to jump on Nami. I want to see your sister. Said Issei as Nami frowned. Don't be talking nonsense, Nijiko doesn't have time to receive visitors. Said Nami. And who says that? You? Liar. Issei asked, bothering the orange-haired girl. Whatever, I'll go see her because I want to properly thank her for the help she gave me, this has nothing to do with you. He said before turning around and continuing on his way with Alvida. Nami watched them leave. Ice-kun, where are you going? Sandy asked more calmly. I'm going to visit someone, I'll be right back. Said Issei. Let me go with you. Sandy shouted wanting to go to Issei, but was stopped by Zora. Hey seaweed head, let me go, I have to go with Ice-kun. She shouted annoyed. Leave him alone, can't you see he's busy? Besides, we have more important matters to deal with, damn weird eyebrows. Said Zora frowning. At that point, both of them started to fight, leaving Luna to just lie on the ground. By that time Issei and Alvida had moved away. Moments later. Issei and Alvida walked towards a remote part of Kakeashi village, following an annoyed Nami who had recently argued with Luna. Stop following me with a demon. Nami shouted angrily. But if I don't do it I won't know where you live. Issei said calmly. Nami threw a staff at him which Issei easily stopped. She's been doing that a lot since he's been following her. Let go. Nami said, straining to free the staff from Issei's grip. Of course. And the brunette dropped the cane causing her to fall on her butt. Alvida was amused by that. Idiot, you must be delicate with a woman. Said Nami annoyed as she stood up. I should, my mother taught me that, but she also taught me not to leave a woman, just because she's a woman, you attack me I defend myself, before it wasn't like that, but I learned the hard way that I had to do it. Said Issei remembering the kendo club, he couldn't do anything since they were some dirty bunch of people, but he deserved it for being a snoop, it was on occasions where he defended himself since Mitsuda and Motohama came up with a brilliant idea of framing him when he wasn't with them. Leave her alone, the house is there. Said Alvida pointing to a house in the distance along the road. Issei just started walking, passing by the annoyed Nami. The brown-haired boy arrived in front of the door and knocked, but no one answered. Isn't it? Issei said confused. Get out of the way. Said Nami pushing Issei aside who just looked at her, she opened the door and entered, closing the door tightly. Get out of here and don't come back. She shouted from inside. But what an annoying brat, said Alvida. Leave her alone, she'll get over her anger, said Issei calmly. Ara, it's you, said Najiko arriving with a basket full of tangerines. Hello, we meet again, Issei said smiling. Alvida just looked at Najiko without showing much reaction. I came when I heard a commotion, but I didn't expect it to be you, said Najiko leaving the basket at the entrance of the house. Yeah, well, your sister doesn't like me, so she told me to leave, Issei said calmly. Oh, don't worry, she's like that with people she doesn't know, but she's a good girl, said Najiko looking inside her house. Since you came? She asked. To say hello more than anything and also to tell you something, said Issei. What do you want to tell me? Najiko asked intrigued. Well, you don't know how grateful I am for lending me a hand when you shouldn't have. The words and money I gave you won't be enough to show how grateful I am for your kindness, said Issei as Najiko smiled flattered. Well, don't worry, sometimes you have to help someone in need, even if it's a stranger, or at least that's what Mom said, Najiko said nostalgically. Well, she must have been a great woman to say those words, said Issei. It was, Najiko commented smiling happily. Well, I just want you to know something. Issei looked at Najiko with a calm smile. Today, this entire island will be freed from the yoke that guy Arlong put on them, he said, surprising Najiko. Wait, don't tell me that. Najiko was incredulous. Yes, that fishman dies today, said Issei turning around to start leaving, while Alvida followed him silently. Wait, do you have any idea what you're saying? Arlong will kill you, Najiko screamed in fear. Ha, I doubt that guy will kill me, I still don't know what can kill me in this place, but I doubt a fishman can, said Issei walking away. Najiko wanted to go stop him, but she heard several things starting to be broken inside the house. She knew it was Nami, so she picked up the mandarin basket and went in to prevent Nami from destroying everything. So, what's the plan? Alvida asked. I'll go get the leader, if you want, go and fight one of his subordinates, Issei said and she nodded. The two walked away, going straight to what they were after. Ice-kun is taking too long, said Sandy walking from one side to the other. Stop moving, damn it, you're making me dizzy. Your stupid boyfriend is going to come back soon, as if that girl's house is far away, shouted Zora leaning against a palm tree. Yufufu, Ice-kun my boyfriend, he. Wait, Ice-kun is no fool, your damn seaweed head, shouted Sandy angrily, while Zora only saw her angry. That Issei is the one from Barati, right? Asked Usopp. Yes, Issei Iniki killed Krieg, and now he is part of his crew, Yusaku commented, surprising Usopp. And it seems that Sandy-san is in love with him, said Jin. And I think Alvida too, Yusaku commented. What luck that kid got, Johnny commented. Luna was lying on the ground watching the clouds pass by, they are already getting bored of being there. Oi! Issei shouted, drawing everyone's attention. Ice Kaiun, Sandy shouted, going to him. You're back, how good, I was already bored of waiting, Luna shouted jumping and going to Issei. Before Sandy could rush to hug the brown-haired boy, Luna got there first. Luna, Sandy shouted angrily. Alvida just clicked her tongue. Issei carried Luna until he was close to everyone, seeing Johnny and Usopp. We haven't introduced ourselves, I'm Haidu Issei, nice to meet you, Issei greeted, extending his hand. Usopp, I am the cruise sniper and a great warrior of the sea, said the big nose shaking Issei's hand. I'm Johnny, a bounty hunter. The man with dark glasses introduced himself. Well, now to the subject, said Issei taking Luna and putting her on the ground. You see, I don't know what's wrong with that girl, the only thing I know is that those Gyojin are causing a lot of problems to this island taking advantage of their strength, guys like that are despicable, so I don't know about you, but I'm going to cook fish, he said looking at everyone. Wait, you're not thinking about facing those fishmen alone, are you? Usopp asked incredulously. He actually said to kill Arlong to pay his debt to Nami-san's sister, Jin said. What? Usopp and Johnny shouted in surprise. Do you think you're capable of that? They're not like Krieg, said Zora. Well, but they bleed, they can die, and that's enough, Issei said calmly. Everyone was surprised by how calmly he spoke about killing someone. So, what's the plan? Asked Luna, arms crossed and with a serious look. Will you help him? Usopp shouted in surprise. What? I was going to kick his ass anyway, Luna said. But he's not going to hit him, he's going to kill him, which is very different, said Zora looking at Luna. True, said Luna. If you want to know, I will go head on against that guy, Alvida will accompany me for this, so if you want to come, you are welcome, said Issei looking at everyone. Of course we'll go with you, Luna shouted. Shouted Johnny, Yusaku and Usopp. Well, I always wanted to know if a fishman is as strong as they say, said Jin taking his tonfas. Well, that's fine by me, Zora commented. With you until the end of the world Ice Kaiun, shouted Sandy, spinning around Issei with hearts in her eyes because she loved Issei's decision. Are you crazy? They are fishmen, they are subject superior to humans, they are going to destroy you. Yusaku shouted, scared. True, being here is already crazy, and now imagine going against them, shouted Johnny. Yes, I did not go out to sea to die so soon, shouted Usopp. Don't worry, I don't think it's any different than hitting a sea king, said Issei, dismissing everything. Sea king? Asked Usopp. That's right, Ice-kun intimidated a gigantic sea cow to bring us here, Sandy recalled, remembering the monster cow. Awesome, Zora said, a little surprised. Anyway, are they coming or not? They are not obligated to, because it could be dangerous, said Issei, looking at the two bounty hunters and the shooter. Usopp didn't know what to say, he was afraid of dying, he never thought he would be fighting fishmen so soon. Then they saw something that caught their attention. He was a mustachioed man wearing a hat with a little pinwheel on it. He was accompanying a group of marines along with a marine with a rat face. Literally. What is that old man doing with a windmill on his head? Asked Luna, more interested in the object than in what was happening. Marines here? Yusaku said, confused. Issei looked seriously at the group that passed them by, the rat-faced man smile, not giving him confidence. This doesn't look good, said Issei, going straight to Nejico and Nami's house, since they are probably headed there. Hey Ice-kun, where are you going? Sandy asked. I'm going to take a walk, then I'll come back, said Issei, going another way to follow the group. Did he chicken out? Yusaku said, confused. I doubt it, maybe seeing the marines alerted him to something, Alvida said. Well, since this place is governed by Arlong, the marines are not supposed to set foot here, said Johnny, analyzing the situation. Unless, he said, beginning to understand a little. They're in cahoots with Arlong, Sandy said, lighting a cigarette to smoke. Wow, not only does he have the face of a rat, he's a crawling rat, Usopp said. Luna just sat down and sat back down, starting to make circles on the floor using a stick. Well, we'll have to wait for him, said Zora, taking a little nap leaning against a house. They are very relaxed knowing where we are, Jin mentioned, surprised. Alvida saw them and sighed. Would this be the crew she would join? Shortly after, Nami and Nejico's house. Issei walked through the bushes, making his way to the sister's house. He saw how those marines were creating a ruckus by digging in the area where they have several tangerine trees planted. And from the angry shouts of the old man at the grinder, Nami and a newly arrived Nejico, this only meant one thing. What a miserable rat, he turned out to be corrupt, said Issei, coming out from between the trees, surprising everyone. It's you, Nami said, surprised. Who are you, boy? Nezumi asked, somewhat annoyed. Quentin, and surname Bear, now son of Mikey Mouse. It is better that you and your subordinates leave before I get rude, said Issei, standing in front of Nezumi, who saw him frowning. What did you say? That I should leave, said Nezumi angrily. You better get out before I kill you for contempt of authority, he shouted furiously. Well, since you don't understand, said Issei before disappearing in the blink of an eye, appearing before Nezumi, who fell on his ass in fright. Be prepared for the consequences, he said with deadly seriousness. Nami, Nejico and Jen were stunned, they didn't even notice when he moved. Die. Disappear, cried Nezumi in horror. That shocked his subordinates, who pointed their weapons and fired at Issei. Careful, Nejico shouted, but it was too late, she said. But after that came something else that surprised them even more. And then I look at all of them with a serious look. Consider yourselves dead, said Issei, launching himself into the attack. The three, oblivious to the fight, watched in surprise as Issei easily finished off the marines, leaving them severely injured with broken arms and their weapons destroyed. Then Issei turned around, looking seriously at Nezumi, who scaredly crawled back. Stop. Do you know what will happen if he does something to me? I'm a Navy captain, I can ruin your life in an instant. Nezumi shouted in fear, wanting to intimidate Issei, but that had no effect. Issei grabbed the rat face by the neck while he was kicking, trying to get free. Do you think I'm afraid of you or what you're telling me? I lost my fear a long time ago, I have nothing to lose, but you on the other hand will end up like every rat should end up, said Issei with a very brutal seriousness that scared Nezumi. Dead. And he just tightened his grip. Nezumi kicked hard, looked at Issei in despair, tears came out of his eyes, he wanted to scream, but he couldn't, and in the end. Crack. Nezumi breathed his last, and Issei dropped him on the ground, staring at him coldly. Nami, Nejico and Jen were more than scared, they were surprised by how it all ended. Ha. Issei sighed and looked at the three. Sorry about that, but what this guy is doing reminded me of something that happened a short time ago before I met my new crew, he said, remembering when he had to kill a marine who was literally starving a village on an island to death. I understand, don't worry, after all, that guy would have gotten away with it, said Nejico, looking with disgust at the mouse-faced corpse. But now you're in trouble, boy. You may have done something good for us, but he was a Navy captain," said Jen. Issei just smiled slightly. "I'm a pirate now, sooner or later they would put a price on my head, so just speed up the process a little," said Issei, knowing that now it's his turn to live a criminal life, so to speak. Nami looks at him and Issei looks at her. She surprisingly bowed. "Thank you for helping. If you didn't intervene they would have surely taken the money that took me so long to save to buy Villa Kakeashi," said Nami with all the sincerity possible, because that money meant a lot to her. "I imagine, living under the yoke of a fish with legs must be very hard," said Issei, quickly understanding the reason for the money. "Anyway, think about how to spend that money, because today Arlong and his crew will be turned into sushi," he said, turning around to walk away. "Are you still going to go after Arlong?" Najiko shouted angrily. This surprised Jen and Nami. "What will he do? What? Boy, are you crazy?" Jen shouted in astonishment, because no matter how fast he is, he can't beat Arlong. Nami looked surprised at Issei, who seemed unconcerned. "You have nothing to worry about. This is my gratitude for the hospitality that Najiko-san showed me when I was recovering," said Issei, causing Nami to be even more surprised. "And I told you not to do that. They're going to kill you," Najiko shouted angrily. "Well, if they're going to do it, let them do it, maybe then I'll see them again," he said, smiling sadly and continuing on his way. That last thing made Najiko strange. They just watched Issei walk away. "We have to do something with that guy's body," Jen mentioned, looking at Nozumi's body that was starting to attract flies. Nami didn't say anything and just went after Issei, because it seemed crazy to her to fight against Arlong. Najiko just sighed. She and Jen would fix this problem. "I'll go get a wheelbarrow," Jen said, going to get the object Najiko had for carrying bags of fertilizer. Najiko saw the still alive but injured and unconscious Marines. "Take care, idiot," Najiko whispered, watching where Issei left. "Stop," Nami shouted, catching up to Issei, who ignored her and continued walking. "Why should I?" Issei asked. "Why are you doing this? Is your life worth so little that you should waste it on something you won't achieve?" She shouted, annoyed, because she didn't understand why Issei would go against Arlong just out of gratitude for his sister's help. "Because the payment is not enough, she risked having me under her care. They could hurt her if they caught her with me there," Issei said as he continued walking. "And does that even matter? You don't even know her. She's a stranger to you," Nami said. "So? I may not have known her for years, but she still helped me without asking for anything in return, unlike someone else," said Issei as Nami growled. "Anyway, how does that affect you? Is it because if I defeated Arlong you'll be out of a job?" he asked, looking at her. "It's not that," Nami said, annoyed. "So what is it?" Issei asked. "You're not interested?" she shouted angrily. "Well," Issei said, looking forward again. "Grrr, you have to give up. What you're going to do is stupid," said Nami, frustrated. "What a coincidence that acting stupid is my specialty," Issei said with a smile. Nami stopped when she saw him smile. It was strange, very strange for her. She just watched as he walked away, not understanding why someone would give their life to pay for a simple favor. Issei walked for a while looking at everyone gathered, and Luna jumped up. "You took too long," Luna shouted, bored of waiting. "Sorry, I had to help a lady with a pest problem," said Issei. "And what happened?" Zara asked, knowing what he meant. "Well, I killed the rat," Issei said as if it was nothing. "I see," said the swordswoman. "Anyway, then are we going against those fish or not?" Issei asked. "Of course, it's because of him that Nami doesn't want to be my nakama," Luna shouted, annoyed. "I already said that I will go where you are, Ice Kaien," said Sandy, sounding determined. "Well, I want to be a strong sea warrior, so I'll go with you," Usopp said seriously, but his legs were shaking. "I'm ready for this," Jin said seriously. "Well, let's go give it to him," Issei said, leading the way. "Although of course, I'm the captain so I'm going to the front," Luna said, walking in front of Issei. "Hey, don't get in Ice Kun's way," Sandy shouted to Luna. "Do you know where we're going?" Usopp asked Luna. She stopped and scratched her head. "No," he said, and everyone sighed. "Does anyone know where it is?" Issei asked. "Yes, me," said Usopp. "Well, please lead the way," Issei asked, and Usopp smiled, sticking out his chest. "Of course, follow Captain Usopp to the enemy's lair," said Usopp, walking forward. Luna pouted. "It's not fair, I wanted to lead the team," said Luna, throwing a tantrum. "Hey girl, are you planning to be a captain?" said Alvida. "Shut up, ugly old woman," said Luna, sticking her tongue out at her. "How dare you call me an ugly old brat?" Alvida shouted angrily. Issei just sighed. This would be a short but long road. Nami watched them walk away. "They will all die," he said, although he followed them closely. Little did she know that she would see something she herself thought impossible. Shortly after, The group moved forward, with Usopp moving from being in front to being in the back. So it's here. Issei said, seeing the entrance to the place. They were on the left side, in front of a large wooden gate that led to the Arlong Park grounds. So do we knock on the door or? Zora said, looking at Issei. Of course, we are not rude either, said Issei. I'm knocking on the door, said Luna, approaching the door and Gomu Gomu no pistol, and launched her attack, destroying the door, drawing the attention of the fishmen inside. All the fishmen watched the group enter calmly. Good afternoon, who is Arlong? Asked Issei, looking at all the fishmen to focus on the light blue one with a pointed nose. You must be, you are the strongest of all, he said. Arlong, sitting in his chair, looked at the group annoyed. Who the hell are you guys? Arlong asked. I am Luna. Luna said calmly. And I am Issei, said the brown-haired boy. The rest of the group just stayed silent. What the hell do you two want? Arlong asked. Simple, we came to kick your blue ass, declared Issei, surprising the fishmen. At that, two approached. Hey, you two fucking idiots, how dare you say that about? Said one of the two fishmen, but in that. Shut up, Luna said, hitting the fishman, sending him crashing into the large building. We came to talk to the owner of the circus, not his clowns, said Issei, slapping the other that sent him unconscious and with his mouth broken into the sea. This surprised a fishman, as they had not expected that. Arlong looked at them seriously. So, you want to kick? Ugh. But Arlong didn't finish speaking when Luna slammed her fist into his face, sending him flying. Arlong-san. His lackeys shouted in surprise. Hey, that was mine, Issei said, looking at Luna, who snorted. Humph, first come first serve, Luna said. Arlong pulled himself together, glaring at the duo in annoyance. Who the hell do you think you are, brat? Arlong shouted furiously. At that, the other fishmen pounced on the duo. But, stay back, you useless people, shouted Sandy, kicking several of them. Although she was not the only one. Jin was hitting several people with his tonfas. It didn't seem like it, but being in the grand line helped him somewhat. While Zora just watched everything with a frightened Usopp behind her. Whatever, Luna, take care of the rest, this fish is mine, said Issei, advancing straight to Arlong. Hey, no, I want to hit him for what he did to Nami, the girl complained. Nope, I have things to do before they tell you about Nami, so you just put up with it, said Issei, ignoring the brunette's complaints. You're idiots if you think you can take on Arlong-san, I'll turn you into fish food, shouted Haki, the octopus who helped Zora, believing she was a guest. Get out of there, you monstrous fighter, he shouted straight to the sea. Then Mumu, the sea cow, came out of the sea. Huh, the cow, said Jin, looking at the cow. Issei looked at the cow and it was at him. The residents of Kakeashi village arrived to see what was happening and were frightened when they recognized Mumu as the sea beast that destroyed Gosa village. You better go, said Issei, looking seriously at the cow. Mumu trembled and ran away, frightened without a woman. Yeah, Mumu, Haki shouted in amazement. Arlong saw Issei, because he scared him more than him when he threatened him. Issei looked straight at Arlong. Well, what are you waiting for? An invitation? Issei asked, making Arlong annoyed. I've never wanted to kill someone so much before, the fishman commented as he approached Issei. Immediately the other fishmen began to attack. First the karateka went against Sandy. The longhorn chased Usopp and Jin had to go after him to help him. And Haki went against Zora, brandishing 6 swords. Luna was going to attack Arlong, but Issei got in the way. Let me fight, she shouted angrily. Issei looked at her seriously as she was surprised. No, was the only thing Issei said before approaching Arlong. Let him fight, you won't be able to change his goals, said Alvida, who hit a fishman hard with her mace. But Luna wanted to hit Arlong. But nothing, yes, you are the captain, but you must respect when a member of your crew wants to do something alone, said Alvida. You are not the most appropriate person to tell me that, said Luna, annoyed. Whatever, fight, there are several of these guys in this place, said Alvida, going to fight against other fishmen. Luna sighed and looked annoyed at the other fishmen. Issei and Arlong were face to face, the fishman being obviously bigger than Issei, but it was nothing compared to seeing Vasco Estrada or Miltan. You really have guts to want to fight me, said Arlong. It's not like you're that big of a deal, Issei said, annoying Arlong. I'm going to show you how inferior you are to me, Arlong shouted, launching a powerful swipe. But Issei didn't even flinch as he deflected the attack with one hand. This surprised Arlong, who took a little distance. What? Scared fishman, Issei said mockingly. I'm going to kill you, Arlong shouted furiously, launching himself into the attack. Arlong attacked furiously, launching quick attacks using his claws mostly to cause fatal damage, but Issei easily evaded or blocked them because in his eyes, Arlong is very slow. The spectators who saw this from afar were astonished because among all the commotion there was, seeing Issei and Arlong stole the spotlight. Even Nami, who had arrived there, was surprised because she never expected that Issei could defeat Arlong. "What's wrong, Shark? You're not hitting anything," said Issei, making fun of Arlong, who was getting angrier. "Graya, I'm going to kill you, you damn bastard," Arlong shouted furiously as he was feeling humiliated by the human in front of him. Issei smiled. He was achieving what he wanted, to piss him off so that he would screw himself. Issei, among so many blows from the fishman, saw an opening and attacked with force. Arlong crashed into the back wall, knocking it down. The fight stopped as the fishmen watched in amazement as their boss was sent flying after a few hits from Issei. Issei just sighed. This was taking unnecessarily long, because from the beginning he knew that he could kill Arlong and all of his people easily, but he was here, putting on a cheap show that the people of the village seemed to like, because for the first time they saw how Arlong was being masterfully beaten. It was something nice to see for them who have lived so many years under the yoke of the fishmen. Arlong pulled himself together. He was bleeding and looked very bad. "Bastard," said Arlong, barely walking, because Issei's blows were stronger than he thought. "Stop crying. Aren't you very macho to subjugate people who can't count on you? Come on, come, show me that strength, the one you boast about, that strength that you used to kill many innocent people who just wanted to have a quiet life," said Issei seriously, because everything that happened on this island at the hands of Arlong and his pirates was something that bothered him in a certain way. Arlong just got annoyed with every word Issei said, as it was very annoying to him. "Whatever, your reign ends here, you won't make it past today," Issei declared seriously. Arlong's gaze became sharp, his fury palpable as even his veins stood out. "The one who's going to die here is you damn bastard," he shouted as he pulled out 2 sets of teeth and used them on his hands. Issei looked at that strangely, but he cared little. Arlong ran towards him and began to attack him, using both jaws as weapons. He launched bites at the brown-haired boy who decided to receive said bites. The first bite came, and when it bit Issei's shoulder, the teeth shattered. Then came the left side where the teeth were also destroyed. Arlong was shocked, but he still went for his neck with his mouth, but Issei simply landed a powerful blow on his mouth that shattered his teeth and sent him crashing into the wall of the building. "Fuck you, you just might get angry," said Issei. Arlong got up again in pain. Although he recovered his teeth, blood was still coming out of his mouth. The fishman broke through the wall, taking out a strange spike-shaped weapon, like a giant saw. Issei managed to hear Nami shout the name of the weapon, but that didn't interest him. Arlong didn't say anything and launched an attack against Issei, who, already bored of this, used his fist to destroy the weapon. Everyone was amazed by how Issei was literally playing with Arlong. "That's it, Sekiryuutei, defeat that fish," said Sandy, somewhat hurt and with her clothes somewhat torn from the fight she had against the karate fishman. "He's strong, I'll ask him for advice on how to train," said an unharmed Zora after her fight against Haki. "Great. Hit it hard," said Luna, forgetting her previous anger for not being able to fight. Alvida just smiled as she watched Issei sweep the floor with Arlong. The sisters couldn't believe what they were seeing, especially Nami, who had been with Arlong for so many years and never thought she would see a scene like this. "Well, is that all? Because if so, I would like to end this already," said Issei, looking at Arlong, who had bloodshot eyes from the fury he felt. "Fuck you," Arlong shouted as he ran and launched himself like a harpoon at Issei. Issei sighed and waited for the right moment to attack. When Arlong was in front of him, he threw a punch straight at his nose, shattering his pointed nose. Ah! Arlong screamed, writhing on the ground while holding his face. Issei just watched him indifferently. "It's about time," said Issei, standing in front of the pained Arlong, who looked at him with hatred. Issei raised his foot and brought it down heavily on his left leg. Crack! Arlong let out a scream as he felt his leg being torn apart. But Issei didn't stop there. Crack! His other leg was destroyed, leaving the fishman unable to walk ever again. Everyone was amazed at the coldness with which he did that. "Stop crying, you should have been prepared for this moment, the day of your death. I am not a judge, but today it is my turn to pay for all the bad things you did to these people, also to pay Najiko-san for the kindness she showed me by helping me," said Issei, looking at the fishman who was crying in pain. The sisters cried, because seeing Arlong's pitiful state made them feel happy for what he did to them years ago when he killed their mother. The villagers cried happily, for they knew immediately that Arlong would leave this island free forever. The Mugiwara present watched everything in silence. They were surprised by the ease with which Issei finished off Arlong, and even more by the coldness and brutality that he showed when breaking the fishman's legs, but now they knew that this would be normal on this long journey ahead of them. Issei sighed. "Well, any last words?" Issei asked. "Monster," said Arlong, still angry. "I figured as much. Well, see you later, Arlong. Say hello to the King of Hell for me," said Issei, preparing the last attack. Issei raised his fist, got into position and launched the attack. Bam! The powerful punch landed on the fishman's chest, shattering Arlong's entire ribcage and destroying the organs in that part. Arlong vomited a lot of blood while his eyes lost their shine, adding to that a small crater formed on the ground. Everyone was silent upon seeing that. Issei stood up and looked at Arlong's corpse, then looked at the others. "Well, it's over now," Issei said, waiting to see what they would say. "Yes," the happy villagers shouted. All the villagers entered, going straight to Issei. Of course, some hit the fishmen scattered around there, wanting to vent the fury they had on them. Issei was lifted up and thrown into the air by the joyous villagers. "That was brutal," commented Zora. "Well, it was to be expected," said Alvida. "Yes, I want him to train me," commented Jin, who was bringing a tired Usopp. "And me too," said Usopp. The two of them were able to see the end of Arlong, with Usopp closing his eyes because he wasn't ready for something like that. Issei was taken down by the people celebrating Arlong's fall, and Issei smiled at seeing them happy. At that he was hugged tightly, seeing that it was the sisters. "Thank you, really thank you," said Nezuko, crying with happiness. Nami didn't say anything, she just limited herself to hugging the brunette, who smiled. "I told you I would kill Arlong and you would be free. You don't have to thank me, this is my payment for the help you gave me," said Issei, smiling. Nezuko looked at the brunette smile, she couldn't help but smile too. And so the fishman's reign over Konomi Island ended with the crew arrested and Arlong dead. Shortly after. It's been 2 hours since Arlong died, and now all of his lackeys were held back by chains. Issei was in front of the great building of Arlong Park, next to him were Alvida and Luna, along with Nami, who looked somberly at the place. "So, you want us to destroy the building?" Issei asked. "Yes, this place only brings back bad memories," Nami said seriously. "Well, I could, but I'd better leave it to Luna," said Issei, seeing that Luna wanted to destroy something for not having fought. Nami looked at Luna, who looked desperate. "Ha, whatever, just destroy this dirty place," Nami said, wanting to see that building reduced to rubble. "Well, Luna, you heard, you can destroy the building," Issei said. "Fine, leave it to me," said Luna, cracking her fists as she entered the building. Issei was silent with Nami at his side, she was rubbing her left arm, somewhat uncomfortable. Because of running after Issei and everything else, she feels bad towards the one who killed the one who has caused the most pain to her and all the inhabitants of the island. "I already told you, it was like I paid your sister for taking care of me," said Issei without looking at her, because from afar it was noticeable that she wanted to say something. "You still helped the whole island, you saved us, and I treated you badly," Nami said. "So? You didn't know me and it's normal not to trust the words of a stranger, besides, you didn't know if I could take care of Arlong, so you don't have to feel bad or feel grateful to me," said Issei, looking at her with a small smile. Nami looked at him, it was surprising to her that Issei didn't reproach her or say anything about how she treated him, he looked so calm about everything, and that was strange to her. In that. Boom. Luna had destroyed the entire building after stretching her leg in the air and letting it fall. Issei nodded and then just turned around to go to the town, he was hungry and would see if they could sell him something to eat. Nami just watched him leave. "Nami, I'm hungry," Luna shouted. Nami sighed. "Sure, let's go to the village," Nami said. Issei arrived at Kakeashi village, being greeted by praise from everyone, the people were happy, very happy. Issei just waved while smiling, this reminded him of when he went out to walk the streets of any city in the underworld, everyone greeted him happily. Issei looked for somewhere to eat when he was stopped by Genzo. "Hey kid," the old man with the grinder said to him. "What's wrong?" Issei asked, looking at him. Nothing, I just came to tell you that Nezuko is looking for you, she said to go to her house," said Genzo. "I see, I'll go right away," said Issei, leaving for the sister's house. "By the way, there will be a celebration for Arlong's defeat, so I hope you don't leave yet, because this is for you," said Genzo. "Oh, I see, well I doubt Luna will want to leave if there is food involved," Issei said, smiling. Then he continued on his way to his sister's house. In the distance he could see everyone resting inside the tavern of the place. He smiled because they did their part against Arlong's crew, but he knew that if they want to follow Luna on her path, they must be strong, and he will help them in that. It was a few minutes and he arrived at the place, there he saw Nezuko sitting on a chair outside her house. Seeing Issei, she smiled. "Yo," Issei said. "Hi, nice to see you, let's go inside," said Nezuko. Issei nodded and followed the woman. The two entered the house and sat at the kitchen table. "So why did you want me?" Issei asked. "Well, I know you told me that defeating Arlong was because of the help I gave you when I picked you up months ago, but I feel like that's very little compared to what you did for the entire Konomi Island, so I called you so you could ask me for something to do for you, whatever it is, I'll be willing to do it for our savior," said Nezuko, looking straight into the brown-haired boy's eyes. Issei understood that suggestive tone, but he didn't feel at all comfortable getting something like that as payment. Well, since you say it like that. Najiko looked expectantly at what the brown-haired boy would say to her. She saw that he saw her body, but he didn't dislike it at all. Then he looked her in the eyes and spoke. Could you give me something to eat? I'm a little hungry. He said, and the woman was surprised. Huh? Food? Do you want me to cook for you? Najiko asked, expecting something else. Yes, anything is fine. Issei said calmly. She was surprised. She literally offered herself to him, but he didn't even notice. You didn't understand what I meant, did you? Najiko asked with some disappointment. Yes, I'm not stupid, but I don't feel comfortable. Yes, you are beautiful and you have a good body. I like your physique, but honestly, right now I don't feel ready to do something like that, not for now. Plus I already told you why I helped you, and if I wanted sex, I think Alvita would have given it to me if I asked her. Said Issei calmly. Well yes, Riaz and Akeno took his virginity weeks before the war against the 666, and they were active the whole night, but now he doesn't feel like that, even when a beautiful woman like Najiko asked him. Najiko smiled slightly and stood up from her chair to go look in the refrigerator for what she would make. Well, is anything okay? Najiko asked. Yes, please. Issei said, watching the woman cook. Najiko cooked in good spirits, for what happened today will go down in history throughout Konomi Island. Issei, for his part, stopped looking at Najiko and became pensive, staring into space. Now comes a long journey with this new group. Drake told him. Yes. Was the only thing Issei said. Drake knows he still misses them. It was recent, and it's normal to remember. They were in another world very different from theirs, with different rules, without magic or supernatural beings, as far as they know, where the vast majority of the planet is sea and there are apparently many moons far from each other, fruits that grant unique and strange powers, and there is piracy, but different from what they know. In addition to unique and interesting flora and fauna, along with the different races that inhabit the world. A new world to explore, new people to meet, and possibly new bonds to forge. Just hope you don't lose it all again. Issei. Najiko said, looking at the brown-haired boy. What's wrong? Issei asked. I already made your food. Said Najiko, slightly worried. Issei saw that she had placed a large plate of shrimp rice next to a glass of water. Oh, thank you. Said Issei, taking the cutlery. I did akimasu. And began to eat in silence, being watched by Najiko. Najiko watched him eat. It was strange to her that a boy didn't ask for what she thought he would ask for, and also that he would help with something big for such a small thing. Issei was strange to her in many ways, although it's not that he was bad, on the contrary, he was good and unusual, since very few would be willing to help for so little. Although it was also strange to see him lost in his thoughts for so long, she was literally cooking while he was lost in his thoughts. She thinks that something happened to him to make him so lost, something happened to him that has him like this, because she herself knows that look, the same look that Nami and she put on when they remember their mother, the woman they lost because of Arlong. Well, Issei, he ate calmly, in silence, thinking about the possibilities of now being with Luna and her crew. He didn't expect to meet her, because for him she was a girl with an interesting and dangerous dream from what he investigated. Being a pirate king or queen, that title entails having the entire government after you, being the #1 enemy and branded as a villain, although also by investigating a little about Goldie Roger, he knew that he was a quiet man, and that he wanted freedom to live his life without regret, even with an illness that ended up eating him up inside, a man faithful to his desire to travel the sea and discover what this world hides. And Luna wanted to go on a journey that would lead her to find that famous treasure known as One Piece. Honestly, none of that caught his attention. He wasn't interested in any of that, but he wouldn't pass up the opportunity to see how an enthusiastic girl like Luna handles this long journey. I just hope everything goes well. He thought while eating calmly. And so time passed. It was delicious. Issei said, helping Najiko wash the dishes. I'm glad to hear it. I barely cook for Nami when she's home. I don't usually cook for anyone else. Najiko commented. Well, you cook well. Issei said, smiling slightly. She smiled at that. Najiko, do you know where? Oh, you're here. Said a newly arrived Nami. Are you looking for Issei? Najiko asked. Yes, those from the village are looking for him. They are organizing a celebration for him. They're destroying Arlong and his crew. Said Nami, looking at Issei. The brown-haired boy just kept washing the dishes. Really? Well, I appreciate the gesture, but I honestly don't think I deserve such a celebration. Said Issei, placing a now dry plate where the others were. The sisters saw it. Why do you say that? You saved the entire island from Arlong's tyranny. Said Nami. Yes, but that was just a secondary thing that wasn't even planned. Issei said sincerely. Nami frowned at that. What do you mean? Nami asked, feeling offended. Listen, I came here to help the island, but not to save the island and its inhabitants. It was to repay the kindness that Najiko had with me by having me in this house while I recovered. Said Issei, because that was always his main motive. Nami wanted to yell at him in annoyance, but it was true, he made that clear from the beginning, he just wanted to thank Najiko for what she did for him. Anyway, you still earned a celebration, you're now a hero of the island and all that, so they'll be waiting for you in 3 hours at the Kakeashi village plaza, so go. Said Nami as she turned around and left. Issei and Najiko were left alone again, as the haired girl looked at Issei. You should go, in the end you helped the island whether you wanted to or not. Said Najiko. Issei was silent for a few seconds and then sighed. Well, if they did that, it would be a waste not to go, although of course, if there is music I would like you to dance a piece with me. Said Issei smiling at the girl who was surprised and smiled. Wow, are you asking me to dance? Najiko asked. Is it possible? Issei asked. Sure, but I hope you're as good at dancing as you are at fighting. Najiko said. Well, I learned some good moves. Said Issei remembering some dance classes that Benelana gave him and some that Azazel shared with him in case there is a lively party. Time after. It was already getting dark and the entire Kakeashi village was filled with people filled with joy and jubilation for what had just happened. Today was a day of pure happiness for the entire Konomi Island because today the one who brought them so much suffering years ago died. People were dancing and singing, musicians were playing their instruments, there was cheerful music, and there was lots of food and, above all, drinks. A day of pure celebration. All the Mugiwara were scattered around enjoying the party. Usopp was drunk on some tables shouting things. Johnny and Yusaku were dancing, badly but dancing. Jin got some action from some girls. Zara was drinking with Alvida, while Sandy was with them looking for Issei with her eyes. And Luna, she was eating like crazy. Calm down, damn it, you look like a desperate bride. Said Zora, taking a sip of her beer. Shut up seaweed head, I want to dance with Ice-kun. Said Sandy angrily. HMPH, you wish, I'll dance with him, so get in line you perverted. Said Alvida earning an annoyed look from Sandy. Your old lady wishes. Said Sandy, touching a sensitive chord in Alvida. Zora just rolled her eyes. They are fighting over that boy, they are crazy and desperate. Said Zora, because she did not understand what they saw in Issei. Shut up, you seaweed head. The two women shouted, bothering the green-haired girl. And Issei. Wow, you really have some good moves. Commented Najiko who was dancing with Issei in the central square of the city as they had just arrived. I told you, I had good teachers. Issei said smiling, having fun with Nami's sister. Haha, you're amazing. Najiko said, feeling comfortable dancing with Issei. The two were having fun, and Drake smiled from inside the boosted gear because with such coexistence his friend could move forward. Hey, that's not fair, I want to dance with Ice-kun too. Complained Sandy who appeared before the couple. TCH, now another one wants him. Alvida complained annoyed. Hello girls. Issei greeted. Wow, you sure are popular, you don't look it. Najiko said. Well, even I'm honestly surprised. Issei said smiling. Whatever, now it's my turn. Said Sandy taking Issei by the hand. Oh no, that's not it, it's my turn first. Said Alvida pulling Issei by the other hand. Najiko saw that fun and Issei. Ha, come on, I'm not going anywhere, I can dance with all three of you. Said Issei. But how greedy. Said Najiko. I don't think so, but there's no way around it. Said Alvida. Sandy didn't know what to say. And Issei just sighed and smiled. So, may I have a piece, ladies? Issei asked in a gentlemanly manner. The three of them looked at each other and then at Issei to shrug. This idiot has more luck than any of my other wielders combined hahaha. Said Drake amused at how Issei learned to handle situations like this. And so the night of celebration began for Konomi Island, a night of pure celebration that demonstrated the joy of all the inhabitants. And Issei enjoyed dancing, eating and drinking with the three women. I'll dance with Ice too. Luna shouted, jumping on Issei, sticking to his back, tying his arms and legs around the brunette. Yep, a good evening. That's it guys. Thanks for watching and supporting us. See you in the next part.